Postmortem confirmed Karime died from a massive internal hemorrhage, and ballistic analysis linked the firearm used to the aforementioned Ruiru shooting incident on the 10th of February. The matter remains under active investigation, and efforts to identify and apprehend the suspects are ongoing. Honorable Speaker, on the measures being put, an increased foot and mobile patrol within the area of Kirgoya town and surrounding, conducting public barasas with the stakeholders, and including community policing groups in Nyumba Kumi, and of course incorporating the private security firms and residents to promote collective vigilance, and residents are urged to report suspicious activities, particularly individuals with no clear source of income of those active at night. And enforcement action targeting motorcycles without registration numbers or those not affiliated with the recognized circles to curb their use in criminal activities, and the joint intelligence efforts are ongoing. Honorable Speaker, on the reason for apparent inadequate of security agencies, Mr. Speaker, there have been an upsurge in criminal incidents in Kirgoya and its environ, some of which have resulted in loss of lives. Investigations have identified a gang armed with an illegal firearm responsible for robbery and violent attacks. Ballistic report confirmed that the spent cartridge from these incidents are linked to the same firearm. The security agencies are actively pursuing apprehension of these gang members and the recovery of their firearms to restore safety. Additional resources, including personnel and equipment, are being deployed to enhance security operations in the region. The government remains committed to ensure safety and the security of residents in Kirgoya, Kirinyaga. All efforts are being made to bring the perpetrators to justice and prevent further incidents. Signed by Honorable Chumba Murkomen, CS for Interior. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
You finished? Gitari? Marianne, take your seat. Let's finish with Gitari first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the chairman of the committee and the entire committee, because when you directed them to invite me when the IG was there and the DIGs, I did attend and we started this matter. However, Mr. Speaker, I'm a bit concerned about two things. Number one, you directed the committee to give an interim report, but I can assure you the interim report they gave us about 2 months ago is the same report they have come with. It's only that they have just changed the date. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I'm a bit worried. I raised this issue on 25th February 2025. And some of the incidents occurred early January, Mr. Speaker. For how long will the people of Kirinyaga keep on waiting? The only thing that we hear from the ministry is that investigations are underway, we are doing this. Out of the 4 cases that I had asked, Mr. Speaker, even none of them has got yielded results. People in Kirinyaga are living in fear, Mr. Speaker, because we don't know what these people can do, because they are still at large. Some of them are known people, but they are just free, and they might commit the same crime. I think we need more answers, Speaker, than just what we have gotten. I thank you.
Marianne Kaitany. Give her the mic. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. About last week, a week ago, there was a report that had been given to us by the Chair, Departmental Committee of Internal Security, on the issue of Koimburi. And we had asked that, he actually told us that he would give us a response within a week. Today being Thursday, I think the week is finished, is over, and I think it would be important that he gives this House an update, knowing that this matter is of great national importance, not only to this House, but to the nation at large, because everyone needs to understand this self-abduction business, whatever became of it, and the actions being taken by the security sector, if any? Thank you.
Tongoyo.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Clarify guitarists before you come to that.
Honorable Speaker, on the issue of a colleague from Kirinyaga, it's really unfortunate that several members of the society, of that community had lost lives. I share really the pain and concern, but I want to assure you and the country that personally I'm going to take personal intervention to see how to eat, even if it calls probably maybe change of security personnel in the area. And Honorable Speaker, also, it's good to be appreciated that at least there are some leads pointing to a particular gang who has been identified to be using the same gun. So maybe after this we may need to have a session with him so that we see quick intervention with IG, even if it means changing the officers in the area.
Right.
Yes.
Kaitanyi. Marian Kaitanyi. Your colleague Koimburi has not appeared in the House since the incident. You promised a comprehensive statement.
Honorable Speaker, it's true, I did promise to give the latest update, but since I gave the last one, Honorable Speaker, there has been a lot of development, including even the apprehension and of course prosecution of the lady who is a member of a county assembly who spent the night with the Ngaibori. But not alleged, it's been confirmed. Sorry? It has been confirmed, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what became evident for all of us and the country to know, this was self-abduction and self-hospitalization. And maybe, Honorable Speaker, being today is a Thursday, maybe Tuesday, you allow me Tuesday to produce the latest. But what I can tell you, it is obvious, it's evidence. This was for cinema, it was just drama. And those are people who are hell-bent to portray the government on the wrong light. So give me to Tuesday, Honorable Speaker. But we are rest assured that was just for cinema and drama, self-abduction, self-hospitalization, and I remain to be so. What, Honorable Speaker, we should even do as a House, before we wait the other agency like EACC to pursue and do what is rightful, we should take our position, Honorable Speaker, here. Even the Committee of Privileges to summon the Member of Parliament. This is the Member of Parliament who even previously had even accused this House to have been bribed to vote in a particular manner, Honorable Speaker.
Professor, what is it?
You know, it's disturbing to me that being a medical professional, that a senior medical professional of the status of Dr. Gikonyo can falsely admit a patient to a hospital. Until these things have been confirmed, please let's hold our horses and stop condemning the hospital, the medical practitioner, and other people that are involved in the care of this person. Please, it's not right for Dr. Gikonyo to be accused of admitting somebody falsely, because he cannot admit somebody to his hospital when that person is not sick. That is not acceptable. And if that happens, then there is action to be taken from the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. Until that kind of thing happens, please let's not destroy people's
Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with Professor that this is a matter that is still under investigations, and we need to give the investigating authorities time to verify whether even that admission was legitimate, because you may also be admitted for other things, especially when you hear you might have you are alleged to have spent a night with somebody, so you may have other issues that may have caused your admission in hospital. So let us leave that to the competent authorities in that. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, is to ask the chair of the security committee, the Honorable Tongoyo, because after the said abduction or disappearance of the Honorable Koimburi, we saw the disgraced former impeached deputy president allege that the Honorable Koimburi had been poisoned and inhaled very dangerous gases. And he could not even speak, his throat was hurt. He had actually diagnosed, he had the diagnosis of what gases Koimburi had inhaled. He had even now been able to diagnose that he can't even speak. And I wondered, how did the impeached deputy president know that this victim who could not speak had inhaled some dangerous gases that are only known to the disgraced former deputy president? And the chair security committee must take this matter more seriously than he is doing. He must get a written statement from the Inspector General of Police and the doctors, more so from the Inspector General of Police, telling us what investigations has he done, has he carried out, to even get statements from one Rigathi Gachagua, who seemed to have more information than even the victim himself on his inhaling of dangerous gases in a coffee plantation. So Rigathi Gachagua must be able to tell the police, these gases that Koimburi inhaled, were they inhaled at the hotel in Gatundu with this lady who he's alleged to have spent the night with? Did he inhale these gases from the chemicals that spray coffee in the coffee plantation where he went to sleep in the morning? Or was it in the ambulance that his staff organized for him? It is important that we know this, Honorable Speaker, so that tomorrow, Honorable Speaker, I do not allege what is not there, especially on serious matters like kidnappings and abductions, Honorable Speaker, and try to make political capital out of it, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, the Honorable Tongoyo must give us an update from the police and the medical doctors who are attending to the so-called victims. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, let's not escalate this. As a custodian of the interests of all of you, including Honorable Koimburi, Honorable Tongoyo, next week on probably Wednesday, you bring a comprehensive report about your colleague who has not reported to the House since the disappearance and reappearance, so that we can also be able to know what is happening around him. I don't want to escalate this, Deputy Speaker. Let's leave it there, because we will degenerate into discussing the personal conduct of a member without a motion, and that is against standing orders. Let's leave it there. Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe's statement, Tongoyo, Wednesday you bring
I will, well guided.
a comprehensive statement, including what the professor has said and what everybody else has said.
Honorable Speaker, but it will be an uphill task, at least on the issue to regard the Dr. Kikonyo, because I don't have the capacity to compel him to give the report. Remember, we went there.
If you don't get it, we'll draw our own inference. Just bring what
You remember, Honorable
get.
Speaker, you did instruct that we go there last, and we were completely denied access. So we may still undergo the same.
Okay. Hold it, Togoyo. Let me acknowledge students who are in the gallery before they leave. Moi High School, Kabarak from Rongai, Nakuru, in the Speaker's Gallery. Kajiunduthi High School from Mara in Tarakanithi, and Mutu's Primary and Junior School from Bere, South Embu. I've been requested by two members, the Honorable David Ocheng, who says his son is in Kabarak, and Letipila. I give them a minute each.
Thank you
David
so much.
Ocheng, you have a minute.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I believe the students' visit to this parliament normally is for information and education. And so I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the students who are seated, all the public and speakers gallery to parliament. and to ask them to know that this August House is the ultimate place for politics, and that if you do well in whichever field, being a doctor, engineer, teacher, all of us are in this house representing different and various interests, and so you are welcome to Parliament, all of you, and hope to see you, some of you here in the future. Thank you.
Letipila. Letipila is not here. Murugara, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, we shared a class with Mr. Letipila at the great Moi High School, Kabrak, when it was named that way. And I take this opportunity to welcome the students of that great school from the Rift Valley. I know they've maintained it ever since those days when I enrolled in that school in March 1986 and left in November 1987. And on your gallery, we have Kayunduthi Boys High School from Tharaka-Nithi, and closely with them is also Muthambi Boys from the same county. Two other great schools that are well known in the country because of their great performances. Mine is to welcome the students to this house and to tell them to observe the proceedings, to see how their leaders actually conduct their business. And when they go back, is to put emphasis on their studies so that tomorrow they become great leaders of this country. I welcome the students. Thank you very much.
1 minute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. May I also join my colleagues in welcoming all the students who have made to the Parliamentary House today, and particularly those students from Moi High School, Kabarak, where I was an alumni. And it so happens, Speaker, sir, about 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go and speak to them as an alumni and tell them, welcome, may it be a session that you're going to learn. And I do know we have two other members who are not here who are also alumni of this great institution. There are many that have been there in the past. And of course, when I look at those that are standing here, I see several in the future who are going to be in this house. I thank you. May you learn from here.
Thank you.
And there are also several parents who are here also.
Thank
like
you.
Millie of the Ambo, Honorable
For
Speaker.
the parents and those who went there, I join you in welcoming the students from both Kabarak and the other schools. We also acknowledge Mudambi boys from Maara, Tharaka-Nithi. All the schools, welcome to the House of Parliament and feel comfortable. Emmanuel Wango, a statement. Yes, Tongoyo.
So, Honorable Speaker, so do I proceed?
Go ahead.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, on Honorable Wanga's statement regarding the status of investigation into the murder of Madam Rosalinda Akinyi, I want to state as follows. Honorable Speaker, on the 17th April, approximately 5:30, Mr. Paul Weshuli reported at Shinda Police Station via OB number 37170425 regarding a robbery with violence incident. He reported that an identified motor vehicle intercepted a border on a route from the Cooperative Bank, Mumias branch, and robbed the pillion passenger, Madam Rosalinda Akinyi Wanga, of Kenya shilling 285,000. Tragically, she died on the spot. Initial reports suggested that she had been shot by a known assailant aboard the said motor vehicle. Her body was later transported to St. Mary's Mission Hospital, mortuary in Mumias. The postmortem examination, Honorable Speaker, conducted on the 21st April, contradicted the initial gunshot claim, revealing that Madam Wanga died due to internal bleeding resulting from sharp force trauma sustained during an assault. This finding prompted the immediate launch of the comprehensive investigation. A miscellaneous application number 00033 of 2025 was filed at the Mumia Law Court, requesting court orders to obtain CCTV footage from Cooperative Bank, Mumias branch, covering the time frame between 1300 and 1600 on the day of the incident. The same application sought the victim's bank account statement as well as M-Pesa and call data record of both the victim and the potential suspect, who is a border rider from Safaricom. Following the issuance of the court orders, the relevant institutions were served to have complied. Investigating officers have since received the victim's bank statement and CCTV footage, both of which are currently under analysis. The border rider, identified as Joshua Muteke Wafula, was initially detained as a person of interest but was later released pending further investigation. The preliminary analysis of his call data did not establish any direct link to the incident. Additionally, review is ongoing as we remain in communication with the investigative team. To bolster the investigation, Crime Search and Intelligence Bureau officers from the DCI headquarters were deployed to provide technical support and revisit the crime scene. In addition, Honorable Speaker, call data from the several other persons of interest has been received and is undergoing forensic analysis. Statement has been recorded and the investigation is still ongoing. On the status of robbery in violence against Madam Rosalinda, husband, upon receipt of preliminary correspondence from Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, seeking an update of the status into a robbery with violence, officers from the Mumia Police Station conducted a thorough review of the station occurrence book from the year 2023 to date. However, no entry on robbery with violence incident was found. This prompted the officers from the Directorate of DCI based at Matungu Police Station to initiate a follow-up action by summoning Mr. Paul Weshule. He acknowledged that the incident had not been booked. As a result, a late entry report concerning the alleged robbery with violence was formally booked via OB number 12-16-525. His statement was subsequently recorded to facilitate the commencement of the investigation into the matter. He reported the incident occurred in May 2023 at Arambe area while he was riding his motorcycle toward Bungoma town. Though he could not recall the exact date and time, he had withdrawn a total of 260 from 3 different banks in Mumias town. He stated that he was accosted and robbed of the money, then abandoned near the Yala River in Quisero sub-county. He went to Mumia Police Station on the same day and to make a report. However, the police assessed his condition. They advised him to seek medical attention first and return to the station afterward to make a report and record his statement. Unfortunately, he did not return. Investigation in the incident has commenced. So, Honorable Speaker, that is what I have to say also concerning the Wangwe's question.
Emmanuel Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the Chair for that good communication. However, Honorable Speaker, on the same line, Honorable Speaker, I also want to appreciate that I got the statement in advance, which was good enough for me to have read it and understood what it is. What is there, Honorable Speaker, is that let the Chair just push for the investigation. Don't tire with that statement. We want to get to the bottom of the whole issue, particularly, Honorable Speaker, where they murdered the wife, and just a year ago, they robbed the husband. Both of them who have been teachers. It's an issue that's affecting my constituency, and it's an issue which, Honorable Speaker, the Chair should push to the latter. I also want to appreciate that, Honorable Speaker, my request for the headquarters of DCI to send thorough officers has been accepted, and I can see officers from CRIB have been sent. That's good, and I want to appreciate, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Tongoyo, that's a comment. You can follow up and give the member an update as and when you have additional material. James Onyango Koyo, request to agriculture. Yes, Tongoyo?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, I need your guidance, Honorable Speaker. We had a statement by Honorable Doris Donya, which was last week. She wasn't in the House, and she has been really insisting that she's allowed to
list it for next week. We are pressed for time.
Thank you.
Doris, go to the table office and have it listed for next week. Dr. Mutunga, are you ready with a statement? Go ahead.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 442C to respond to the question by Honourable Onyango Koyo. Those were advertised internationally on the 28th of February 2025. On 4th of March 2025, the bids were received. Tender closing date tenders were advertised then, and then they were supposed to be received on that date, and tender closing date was on 25th of March 2025. Bids were received and evaluated, and tenders were awarded. The listing results were as follows. Moron Sugar Company, which is already under receivership, went to West Valley Sugar Company Limited. And Chemelil Sugar Company went to Kibos Sugar and Allied Industries Limited. The handover date was 10th of March 2025, and the current status is such that the leasing term is for 30 years, as approved by the National Assembly, and I have the approval notice or certificate, Honourable Speaker, by this House, which is number 039 of 13th, 2023. The second issue that the honourable member was pursued was the criteria used to tender in tender evaluation regarding the leasing program of Moroni and Chemelil Sugar Companies. Honourable Speaker, the bid evaluation was conducted under regulation that 1 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2020. The bidders received were as follows. For Moroni Sugar Company, we had 2 bidders, 2 bids, West Valley Sugar Company and Kibos Sugar and Allied Industries Limited. For Chemelil Sugar, we had Sukari Sugar Industry Limited and Kibos Sugar and Allied Industries Limited. The evaluation stages were as follows. The first one was mandatory compliance check, where the bidder had to deposit 200 million as security bid. And the certificate of registration was supposed to have been there. The tax registration also needed to be there, and compliance certificate. CL12 was also supposed to be submitted, and other eligibility documents. The technical evaluation followed, where the companies were checked against the technical requirements. No material deviations, reservations, or omissions were observed. Bidders scoring over 80% or 80% and above advanced to the financial evaluation stage. The qualified bidders in this particular respect was, with respect to Moroni, West Valley Sugar Company, and with respect to Chemelil, Kibos Sugar and Allied Industries Limited. The financial evaluation progressed well, and they were assessed. All the financial aspects were assessed as per the set criteria. Negotiation followed, whereby the successful bidders were engaged in a negotiation process before the award. The third issue that the honourable member sought was the composition of the tender committee that considered the leasing exercise and the recommendations they made. Honourable Speaker, the composition was as follows. The Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development was represented. The National Treasury and Economic Planning Ministry was represented. Kenya Sugar Board was represented, and we had a representative from the Privatization Commission of Kenya. So the recommendations were as follows from the bidders. From the evaluation committee, Moron Sugar Company was to be awarded to West Valley Sugar Company Limited, which met all the qualifications and was responsive. Also, Chemelil Sugar Company was awarded to Kibos and Allied Industries Limited, which also met the qualifications and was responsive. The fourth issue that the honourable member did seek clarification on was clarification on the fate of the current workers in the affected farms. And these are the clarification, Honourable Speaker. Number one, the workers are to be actively engaged during the transition period to ensure continuity. And investors were to retain workers for up to 12 months post-handover, and then pick those that they believe should move on. During the 12 months, the workers were to remain under existing terms and conditions of employment. The investors were also to identify and retain the needed employees The government was to settle all the salary arrears, benefits, and emoluments owed before the handover. I submit, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Oyo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I've listened with a lot of interest to the response by my colleague, the respected chair of the Agriculture Committee, and I want to tell him that I feel that the response is grossly inefficient. We were given the impression that the purpose of leasing out this industry was to make the industry work better for the citizenry. I am more interested in what is going to benefit the farmers, the workers, and generally the locals who donated land when the government came up with this process of starting the industries. We may need the Cabinet Secretary to come to your committee and demonstrate to us one by one, because we want to put below every process that was done. While the intention was very good, but the process was flawed somewhere in between. And we think we need more clarification. But more so, our fear is about the land, and I'm happy that none other than His Excellency has spoken to this fact, that land is not going to be interfered with. My apprehension that in Muhoroni Sugar Company, the title deeds have since been removed from a strong room, and kept by a receiver manager. We don't know at whose behest or what he's doing with it. This we are not going to take lightly, and the minister has to come and tell us that land is not going to be an issue. It's not what we are going to ask another time. If the position of land must be made very clearly, that the investors, the lessees, are going to make use the factories that they have been so far leased to, but they are not going to interfere with the land issue. Also, we may want to know some of the conditions were being flouted, like it was important that any company that had a court case was not supposed to benefit from this program. But we have seen one of the companies that has a litany of court cases has benefited here. So we'll need the Cabinet Secretary to find time, come to your committee, and we will come and walk us through the system. Then we can rest assured that it is correct. Otherwise, thank you very much at this stage.
Thank you. That was just a speech, Mutunga. Yes, Carol Omondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I want to joyride on Honorable Koyo's question. And in terms of Article 35 of the Constitution, Article 201 of the Constitution, Section 23 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act and our standing orders, ask the chairman to submit to this House the following transactional documents in relation to the leasing of the sugar factories. Number one, the tender package and selection records. The entire process, how the bidders were identified, the tendering process. We need to see the advert, the evaluation, everything. Secondly, we would like to see copies of individual lease agreements for each of the mills, Muhoroni, Chemelil, Sony, Zoya. We would also like to see the investment program as proposed by each of the bidders and the performance guarantees that they have provided, including those that have been issued by banks in case they default. We would like to see documentation confirming that the lessees will not charge the nucleus estate to borrow money. We want audited accounts of all the preferred bidders for the last 7 years. We want the constituent instruments of all the preferred bidders and declaration of who their beneficial owners are. We also want evidence of public participation in the selection of the preferred bidders, including minutes. We need letters of reference from banks and other industry players vouching for the bidders. And last but penultimate, we need legal opinion of the Attorney General, a copy of the legal opinion of the Attorney General on these transactions relating to the leasing of the mills. And finally, Honorable Speaker, we need an opinion from the Competition Authority as to how the bidders who have been selected, their presence will affect competition and market concentration in the sectors. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mutunga. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm aware of the fact that the honorable member who has just spoken, Carolo Omondi, has a question to the minister. And I believe what I will do as the chair is to write to the minister to make sure that all these issues that the honorable member wants to see are brought to the House the day he comes to respond to the question. On the other hand, Honorable Speaker,
Better still, invite the minister to your committee and invite the member to interrogate him.
he already asked a question. I don't know whether he should not come and answer the question
Okay.
here. Yeah, please.
Yes, Caroline.
Honorable Speaker, I have a question, but my question relates to the nucleus estate of Miwani Sugar, which has not been.
That's okay. I've given direction.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Mutunga, proceed that way. That's the end of statement time. Majority Leader, give your Thursday statement.
Shortly. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2a, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 3rd June 2025, to prioritize business for consideration during this week. With regard to business scheduled for Tuesday next week, the House is expected to continue with the consideration of the following bills, should they not be concluded today. One is the second reading of the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023. Two, the Political Parties Amendment Bill, Bill number 2, Senate Bill number 26 of 2024. And three, the National Cohesion and Integration Bill, National Assembly Bill number 74 of 2023. Two is the Committee of the Whole House on the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. One, consideration of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement between the Republic of Kenya and the United Arab Emirates. Two, report on the ratification of the agreement on fisheries subsidies. And three, report on the performance audit report on the provision of services to persons with disabilities by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. Honorable Speaker, as the House will recall, you issued a communication on the priority business that will come before the House during this part of the session, notably relating to the budget process. As such, members will note that general debate commenced on the budget estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026, which commenced yesterday afternoon and is expected to end today in line with your communication earlier as per the supplementary order paper. This being the third and final allotted day for general debate on the estimates. Therefore, it's important for members to note anybody who wants to contribute on the budget estimates, you have up to the close of business today to do so. Thereafter, Honorable Speaker, the House will consider the estimates in Committee of Supply, which is listed as order number 11 in today's order paper, but which you have since directed will come on Tuesday next week. Indeed, the House has resolved to sit until conclusion of Committee of Supply on Tuesday, so as to pave way for other budget-related business dependent on the estimates. I therefore urge members to be available in the House and to actively participate in the Committee of Supply, where actual budget making is undertaken. Honorable Speaker, the approval of the estimates will be followed by the prioritization of budget-related bills, notably the Finance Bill 2025 and the Appropriation Bill of 2025. The House Business Committee will prioritize these bills for consideration in the coming weeks, taking into consideration the statutory timelines applicable to the budget-making process. Honorable Speaker, in order to accord priority to time-bound budget-related business, we have not scheduled any Cabinet Secretary to appear before the House to respond to members' questions pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 42A, 5, and 6. I wish to reassure members that we will resume question time as soon as we complete the budget-making process. Honorable Speaker, further to your communication issued on 27th May 2025 regarding priority business for the second part of the fourth session, I wish to remind the House that in line with Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning is scheduled to make a public pronouncement on the budget policy highlights and the revenue-raising measures for the national government for the financial year 2025-2026 next week on Thursday, 12 June 2025. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee will reconvene again on Tuesday, 10th June 2025 to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with your indulgence, allow me to take this opportunity to express the House's gratitude to our legal team that represented us in the matter of RMLF in court, and all the honorable members who volunteered their time to also advise the legal team and be with them, led by the Honorable Kaluma, who even this afternoon was listening through to the judgment that has just been delivered this afternoon. I say congratulations to our legal team and also the negotiation team that was negotiating with the governors, and also congratulate the courts for the very progressive judgment that they have delivered this afternoon. Honorable Speaker, it is a good judgment, very progressive for this country and the people of Kenya who have suffered immensely with roads going unattended to because of the money that was being held, the 10 billion shillings belonging to Kera that was being held. And I hope the CS will now immediately, forthwith, release that 10.5 billion to Kera. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, members on their feet, take your seats. Order, honorable members. That illegal Kamkunji, can you disband and take your seats? Honorable Madenga, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, before we go to the next order, in the public gallery, we have Tala Girls High School from Matungulu, Machakos. In the speaker's gallery, we have Karori High School from Kiambaa, Kiambu, and Kenyoho Secondary School from Kandara, Muranga. Also in the speaker's gallery, we have 2 members of staff from the Budget Department of the Parliament of Ghana. The 2 officers are on a visit to the National Assembly to benchmark with our Parliamentary Budget Office on the budget-making process. They are welcome to observe the proceedings of the House. And I join the House in welcoming all the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them. Honorable members, I also have a short communication on the variance in the global figure on financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates for recurrent and development expenditure. Honorable members, as you will note, in today's order paper, the House is scheduled to resume debate on the motion on the consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 25-26. The conclusion of this will pave the way for the consideration of the estimates in Committee of Supply, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 240. As earlier directed, this will be undertaken on Tuesday, 10th June 2025 on a priority basis. I've directed the clerk to avoid loading the order paper with too many issues so that after the preliminaries, we'll go straight to the Committee of Supply. Honorable members, I wish to notify the House that as will be noted in the supplemental order paper, there is a variance on the global figure being sought to be issued from the consolidated fund between the notes of motion as issued and as currently contained in the supplementary order paper. This variance has been occasioned by a reconciliation of the figures against the various votes contained in the first schedule to the supplementary order paper. Honorable members, when I looked at the figure in the motion and the figure in the Committee of Supply, I noted some variance, so I instructed the Budget Office to scan through carefully and advise me on where the variance was coming from. And the variance now corrects the figure to 2,538,593,978,440 and not 2,538,293,978,440. The variance was about 300 million, and my budget office informs me that it was an error in additions that caused this. The motion will therefore be considered with the correct figure as shown on the supplementary order paper, which is indeed published in the supplementary order paper today. The House is accordingly guided. I also join everybody in congratulating Peter Opondo Kaluma and our team of lawyers, Murugara and others. All the lawyers of the House, we acknowledge you, Mili Odhiambo, Otiende Omolo, Mwengi Mutuse, John Makali, and Osoro, TJ Kajwang. Who is that raising his hand? Are you a lawyer? Naika, you are not a lawyer. Yes. Andon Olwach, for gallantly fighting for you and the constituents' best MPs. Today is your day to smile. Honorable Gashimo, yes, as a learned colleague, today is your day to smile because your RMLF provision is back to you. Thank you. And these gallant lawyers of the House have been acting pro bono. Pro bono means, Carolo Monde, I didn't mention you, pro bono means without any payment of fees. So they have been acting for you for free. Next order. Yes, Jared?
Honorable Speaker, firstly, allow me to congratulate our gallant lawyers, and above all, congratulate you for leading the team through this, Honorable Speaker. So yes. Finally, we are getting our fair share. Honorable Speaker, just today, there was a pronouncement from a court of law that seems to be injuncting this House over a bill that is yet to be presented here, Honorable Speaker. And this relates to the National Government Constituency Fund, which we just completed the process of public participation, Honorable Speaker. So I know Kenyans are more litigious, particularly civil society, Honorable Speaker. But how do they then go ahead to preempt what is not even before us, Honorable Speaker? Do we treat this as a judgment, or we treat this as idle stand-byers, Honorable Speaker? Because we are lost. How do we injunct something that is not with us?
My view on that is well known, Honorable Okello. Call the next order. We'll deal with it.
Order number 8, motion. Ratification of the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. Question to be put.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Students in the gallery walking out, you freeze where you are. Order. Honorable Elachi, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 8, which is that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on its consideration of the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction agreement laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012 approves the ratification of the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction, BBN agreement. As men as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As men as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026, general debate,
third and final allotted day, resumption of debate.
Honorable members, the last member to speak was Honorable Naomi Wako, who exhausted her time. Robert Mbui, I hope you have logged in for this. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for an opportunity to also contribute on this matter of the budget estimates for this financial year, 2025-2026. Mr. Speaker, I want to make a few comments on the issue of the budget of this year. First and foremost, noting that the budget has gone up to 4.2399 trillion, which is quite a lot higher than the previous year, and it keeps escalating every year, it keeps going up. And Mr. Speaker, going through the report, because I've taken time to go through the report of the committee, there is some sense of pride that I have seen in the fact that the budget is bigger this time, and Mr. Speaker, also that the revenues, is an increased, revenues collected. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the reasons why the revenues have gone up, it is because of an increase in income tax, an increase in VAT, increase in excise duty collections, and also the introduction of new taxes like the housing levy. Mr. Speaker, it is important to be very careful about the wording, because I know that a lot of people are still pained at the level of, the level of taxation in the country. Because when you look at the wording on Section 31, where it says that this increased revenue is reflecting optimism in the ongoing tax policy reforms and enhanced revenue administration measures. Madam Speaker, that really isn't the truth, because a lot of people out there have been complaining about, the disposable income and how much lower it has gone as a result of those increased taxations. So, Mr. Speaker, it's important to be careful how we word these issues so that people do not remember the pain that they are feeling. Madam Speaker, we are also talking about an increase in appropriations in aid. And that basically is also not a positive thing, because, Madam Speaker, what it really means is that the cost of government services are also going up, and that therefore means that some of our people may not be able to afford the basic services that are supposed to be provided. So when we are celebrating an increase in revenue and celebrating an increase in collections by, government agencies, then we forget that this is money coming out of the pockets of Kenyans who are promised that they would have much more money in their pockets. But despite all this, Madam Speaker, I also notice, again, as usual, we still have a hole in our budget, a deficit in our budget, a deficit to the tune of 876.1 billion. And this deficit, Madam Speaker, will be plugged by borrowing. Now, I go back 2-3 years, and I remember our political leaders were very categorical when they said, we will not borrow in future. But every single budget that is brought to this house, we have to borrow. We are still borrowing. I am not saying that borrowing is bad, but there is an amount of borrowing that goes beyond what we can afford to pay. And even the complaints by the committee itself about the cost of the debt we already have, it flies on the face of exactly what we are doing. Now, Madam Speaker, on the issue of borrowing, 284.2 billion is being borrowed externally, and 591.9 billion from the domestic market. Madam Speaker, what does that mean? Again, we are crowding out local investors. The minute the government borrows locally, it means that the money that was available for businesses to borrow so that they can finance their activities is not available, because government is an easier person, is an easier entity to lend to. So by borrowing too much money locally, it means we are crowding out the private sector. And therefore, that means in the long run, the businesses cannot thrive in this country because they have no access to loan capital. Madam Speaker, I've gone through the submissions by departmental committees, and some of them are quite horrific. I do know that there are some changes that have been made and proposed after the discussions, but let me talk about just 2 or 3 committees. The first one is the Education Committee. The Education Committee actually noticed that there was a failure to provide funds for examinations, national examinations. And Madam Speaker, this has happened, in the past, and we have actually sorted out that problem through supplementary budgets. Why are we not taking the education of our children seriously, so that we can provide enough funds for all the activities required for education to take place properly. If you want to destroy a nation, just play around with the education of that country. And that is what is going on, because if you do not provide money, enough money from Treasury directly for examinations, then it means we are not even thinking ahead. So, Madam Speaker, that is one of the things that was raised by the departmental committee, and yet it is one thing that is already in the Basic Education Act, that which we passed. I think we made amendments in 2018, that examinations in this country for basic education will be free. Madam Speaker, the committee has also talked about substantial deficits in the Department of Higher Education to sponsor this university funding model. Madam Speaker, if we don't provide enough money for that funding model, how then are we saying that we are reviving our universities, we are helping our universities, and we are helping our children? In fact, the committee says that, and these are their words, that this will impact negatively on the students' welfare and increase financial strain on them, not to forget also on their parents. So, Madam Speaker, these are some of the problems that we are facing, the Education Department raised, the Education Committee raised. Madam Speaker, there is a proposal of provision of 4.8 billion to employ 20,000 interns. Now, I see two problems with that. First and foremost, we have interns that were already recruited, and there has been no provision for them to become permanent and pensionable. So we do not know what happens to those ones. But, Madam Speaker, the 20,000 interns that are being recruited at 4.8 billion, it means it works out to about 20,000 a month. Madam Speaker, 20,000 a month is very paltry. That is a very, very small amount. Even members here pay their chefs and their cooks a lot more than that. These are graduates in education. These are people that are supposed to make sure that they mentor the future. How do you expect to get quality education? They say when you pay peanuts, expect monkeys. How do we say that we are going to get quality education when we cannot pay our teachers properly? And you keep somebody as an intern for a whole year and pay them 20,000. At the end of the year, there is no assurance whether they will get a job or not. So, Madam Speaker, I think these are some of the things we need to address. Today in the morning, Madam Speaker, I was invited by the Committee of Education to discuss a matter of capitation. Madam Speaker, even the CS himself confirmed that the capitation that is given for basic education is not enough. In fact, it is so paltry. The amount given for primary schools is 1,420 shillings per child. That amount of money, Madam Speaker, a school of about 100, 200 children cannot even afford to pay the watchman. Leave alone the other activities, tuition activities, buying of books, the activities that are for sports, drama and music and all that. They cannot afford to do all those things. So, Madam Speaker, we need to provide enough money if we want education in this country to go forward. Madam Speaker, I also looked at the issues raised by the Health Committee, because I believe that health is a very important, very important service in the country. And I've noted that one of the things that is coming out is that health being a devolved function, there is a lot of encroachment by the national government. In fact, Madam Speaker, it is so shocking, because one of the issues they've raised is an issue that was introduced by the previous government, previous regime, I think from about 2016, 2017, thereabouts, of the medical equipment scheme. This project was a mess. This project failed. This project was implemented without even the involvement of county governments. And therefore, county governments were bought equipment and they were taken to their hospitals that they are not requested for. Some of those equipments are still being paid for, and that is why there is a debt of 6.5 billion. And these equipment, some of them are not being used at all, because they are not, some of the hospitals don't even have the practitioners, the medical practitioners that can use those equipments. Now, we have moved from there and we are introducing another one. We are talking now about a new one, and we are calling it National Equipment Service Program, NESP, which has been started. Madam Speaker, I also noticed that there's construction of health centers, which is in the second schedule of this report, meaning jobs that are supposed purely to be undertaken by county governments are being done by national government. When will national government allow counties to do their job and do what is expected of them? No wonder people keep fighting between CDF and I heard people even say that maybe we need to give CDF to the governors, because it looks like the fourth schedule of the Constitution is not being respected. So let us ensure that those that those responsibilities that are devolved are taken to the counties, and the counties can carry out those activities. And those that are for national government are the ones that we deal with, because we are dealing with a budget for the national government. The one for counties, once we do the division of revenue, it is now up to MCS to decide how they will spend their money, not for us to decide.
I can give you a minute to finish your sentence. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You're very gracious. So, Madam Speaker, I want to just finish by saying that I looked at the second schedule, and some of the things I saw are quite shocking. The sharing of resources. I saw some of us come from an area which we have scarcity of water. And you look at the Department of Irrigation, and you notice there's only 1 or 2 small projects that are given in that region I come from. Whereas the other areas that are getting a lot more money. I think when it comes to the fair distribution of resources, we must bite the bullet and agree that as we go into the future doing our budgets, we must look at what goes to every constituency, and that must be also a schedule that is given to us so that we know how much each of us is expecting to go to their people, so that we can defend and make sure that it serves our people. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Adan Kainan, Member for Elders.
They're not counting this. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Budget and Appropriation Committee has officially submitted its comprehensive report on the estimate of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026. This pivotal report, Madam Speaker, which is a product of the broad-based government, Madam Speaker, was tabled on 4th June 2025, pursuant to Article 221 of the Constitution, as read with Section 39 of the Public Finance Act, as read with the Standing Order 239 of the Standing Order. Madam Speaker, the committee's motion seeks the parliamentary approval for the issuance of over 2.5 trillion from the consolidated fund intended to finance the operations, development programs, and statutory obligations of the national government for the fiscal year ending 2025, fiscal year ending 30th June 2026. Madam Speaker, the budget estimate coming at a time when there has been a lot of debate on resource allocation, Madam Speaker, and it's critical that I mention this. And Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the chair of the committee, the Honorable Samuel Atande, for his steering. And Madam Speaker, there's a lot of consultation. Madam Speaker, I want your protection. There seems to be a lot of consultation here by my colleagues from the lake.
Honorable members led by Peter Kaluma and Jared Okello.
I'm sure
you break up the Kamkunji kindly.
You expect the excitement, because I'm sure they're excited with the services of the broad-based government. Madam Speaker, you can see these days the people who troop State House, the people who get a lot of development pronouncement, and you can see the excitement on the face of my good friend, the Honorable Kaluma. And I was just saying, and I want the chairman of this committee to hear this. This committee, for the first time in the history of the Republic of Kenya, the Budget and Appropriation Committee has been chaired by a person from the lake, who is a product of the broad-based government. Madam Speaker, that gave us an opportunity. The lake plus Northern Kenya has been the region that has been neglected over the years, and you understand the history. Pursuant to one document called Sessional Paper Number 10 of 1965. And being a member of the committee, every session I attempted to remind the chair that please, out of this opportunity, Northern Kenya and the Lake region must get a share of the national cake. And Madam Speaker, I want to confirm that out of the deliberations, this budget will be different from the other budgets, and clear provisions on water, on infrastructure, on health has been made for those regions, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank, because sometimes we say cowardice or respect or civility is not a sign of cowardice. What the committee has done, Madam Speaker, is to look at the whole budget-making framework and allow and craft it in a way that will give every region an opportunity to get a piece of the national cake, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, therefore, 2025-2026 budget is crafted within a framework of fiscal consolidation intended to strike a delicate balance between stimulating the economic growth and curbing the rise in public debt. Madam Speaker, the motion, the report also seeks to enhance domestic resource mobilization, streamline expenditures, and adopt prudent borrowing strategies. It also underscores the government commitment to reducing fiscal deficit and safeguarding the long-term debt sustainability. Madam Speaker, therefore, this proposal is anchored on transformative pillars. You have seen provisions for agriculture, food security, the micro, small and medium enterprises, affordable housing, universal health care, and digital superhighway and creative economy. Madam Speaker, these are things that were lacking. And therefore, this approval process is the cornerstone for our democratic governance, ensuring transparency, accountability, and citizens' trust in the public finance management. Madam Speaker, through the legislative scrutiny, and this is what we have done as a committee, Parliament plays a pivotal role in ensuring that funds are directed towards priority needs, Madam Speaker. And this is why, for some of us who come from a region that has been historically marginalized, when we see allocations for particular sections, Madam Speaker, and allow me to dwell on this road. Allow me to dwell on this road. The road from Isiolo, Modogash, has a World Bank funding. The road from Modogash to Samatar, Madam Speaker, was an annuity program which has been gladly sorted out by the government. From Samatar to Wajir did not have funding, and there was an anticipation that the Arab Development Fund will do something. But right now, under this budget, there's clear budgetary provision for the tarmacking of that particular section, Madam Speaker. And I want to say kudos for the head of the Ministry of Roads and Transport, Mr. Chirchir, and the committee for that particular clear provision, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, equally, there's a particular area that has been missing, and we'll be pushing the Ministry of Energy, Mr. Speaker, and I'll be asking the Budget Committee led by the Honorable Atande to make a clear, outright determination that Northern Kenya must be connected to the national grid. Madam Speaker, Northern Kenya comprises of 70% of the landmass of the Republic of Kenya, and yet the national grid ends in Garissa. Madam Speaker, it's a high time, but because there'll be no time when there'll be enough resources, I'll be asking the chair, through the subsequent budgetary allocations, to make that clear determination, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, equally, there is one area, the equalization fund. I know you're a seasoned lawyer. The equalization fund, as intended, is not being applied. Madam Speaker, I want to request the leadership of BBG, the leadership of the Northern Frontier counties, the leadership of the counties that ought to benefit from this, to urgently come together and resolve some of the legislative challenges so that we get proper avenue, proper mechanism in utilizing this fund. As it is right now, the time is coming to an end, and yet there's nothing to account for on how the funds were collected, how the funds were utilized, and, Madam Speaker, very soon, the Kenyan public will ask us whether the provision of this article has enabled us to catch up with other Kenyans whom we have called the halves over the years. Madam Speaker, the other bit is Vision 2030. Vision 2030 was a roadmap to take this country to another level. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, that is not being followed. Can we come back to Vision 2030 so that that clear roadmap is also applied? Madam Speaker, the other bit is the issue of examination fees. We say education is an equalizer. There's a lot of propaganda outside there that the government has removed examination fees. That propaganda is not true. Examination, because we say education is everything. There is clear budgetary provision for examination fees, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other bit is also the issue of health. the USC staff at the counties. That issue has also been resolved, and I'm sure very soon the county government leadership will have an opportunity to confirm those career medical officers, Madam Speaker, who have been employed at mega allowances, Madam Speaker, to get an opportunity to serve their respective counties. Madam Speaker, the other bit is this. Allow me to say this, because the whole thing revolves around politics. Once there is predictability, peace, tranquility, Madam Speaker, and civility in our politics, then there's an opportunity for the economy to grow. There's an opportunity for foreign direct investors to come. And therefore, I want to urge those who are still out of the broad-based government to use this early opportunity to see sense and join the President and the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga in uniting Kenya, because that is what will take us to the next level, because we do not have any other country. Madam Speaker, once again, allow me to thank the Chair and the entire members for the time they have devoted to this, and I hope and pray that the members will get an opportunity to interrogate the report and make their valued input. I support, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, allow me to recognize the presence of the following schools in the House. Seated in the Speaker's gallery is Kariobangi North Secondary School from Embakasi North Constituency, Nairobi County, and Kiriti Girls Secondary School from Maithioya Constituency, Murang'a County. And seated in the public gallery is my very own from Wasingishu County, Chepkurmum Junior School from Ainapkoi Constituency, Wasingishu County. I can tell you that's next to my home. And also Nginda Mixed Secondary School from Maragua Constituency in Murang'a County. And I will now ask Honorable Kaluma, as you make your presentations, please welcome the schools. And don't forget that there's a school from Wasingishu County right from my home, near my homestead. Thank you. And let them know I taught you.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and my teacher of law at the University of Nairobi. Speaker, if it were not for you, in the manner you intervened in my life and the lives of very many others, and in the same manner the teachers who have accompanied our students here are intervening in their lives, Madam Speaker, some of us would not be here. I particularly, I would not be here. I therefore, yes, Madam Speaker, Honorable Kainan, I thought you should know, but you taught me public international law. I ate a lot of your knowledge on matters family law, children, the law relating to children, civil procedure and practice, which enables me to stand on that foundation of being able to address our courts, even as I serve in this assembly. And for that, Honorable Speaker, I'm eternally grateful. Allow me, therefore, to welcome all visiting students and schools, accompanied, of course, by their teachers, to the National Assembly, the Parliament, and House of Representation of the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this could be a very big journey to them. For people like us, we first entered into this chamber, including where you are today, just when you were elected. And so this is an opportunity for you to be inspired, go out there and fight so hard, not just to reach the level where our speakers reached, but far, far beyond, to be leaders of our country, carrying forth the national values we have in our constitutions in the future. Feel welcome, and may you carry forth to be the people you are being processed to be, and to be the people to whom we can hand over a stable Kenya as we look into the future. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, also, Honorable, I think, Honorable Kaluma, it's good for the students to know what we are doing today, the budget-making process, briefly.
Yes.
So I'll give you an extra 5
Yes,
minutes to do
thank
that.
you, Honorable Speaker. The Parliament of Kenya has two houses, the National Assembly, where you are, and the Senate. The roles of the National Assembly are representation, legislation, and, of course, oversight. But there is a role that is additionally given to this House of Parliament, which relates to budget and appropriations. We appropriate monies in terms of division of revenue. We share the monies between the levels of government. The portion that goes to the counties we then send it to the Senate to share among counties. But we remain with a portion for the national government to be shared out among the various ministries, various departments, various sectors of government, including those that go to the education sector and those other sectors which are within the national government functions. So today we are in the budget making process. In terms of representation, Honorable Speaker, let me mention to them that this is a very tedious process. We are talking about the money is going to the various agencies, but we will later be looking at how those monies are raised. And that is where we'll be talking about, the finance bills, one of which you remember was torpedoed last year. Honorable Speaker, let me, in ending, inform our visiting schools and students that when you look at the face of the National Assembly and when you look at the face of the Senate, you will notice some distinctive difference. On the face of the Senate, at the door, you'll see the flags of the various counties because the Senate represents counties as entities. On the face of the National Assembly, you'll see sculptures of human beings to signify that when we are seated here, we are sitting on behalf of the people of Kenya who have elected us here to be here to represent them exercising their sovereign will. And those features will always be there. Be laws we are dealing with. And so the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, has 350 members, including the Speaker. 350 members. It is bigger than most of the secondary schools we have in the country. The Senate, of course, has 68 members, including their Speaker. But the roles of the National Assembly are specifically delineated or set out under Article 95 of the Constitution. The roles specified to the House of Parliament called the Senate, if you have time to look at them, are in Article 96 of the Constitution. They deal with laws concerning counties, and they participate in those law-making functions. But we share in the sense that the National Assembly ultimately enacts all laws. I think only to add, Honorable Speaker, that...
So you can complete and go now to the budget deliberations?
Yes, I've done the budget preparations, Honorable Speaker, and I think they now understand it. I've emphasized that we are at the second reading where we are dealing with issues like how the estimates are going to the various ministries, various sectors of the economy to support the public services the government is to give. And then, of course, we are doing this in a very constrained environment. Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much, and I wish the students sitting in the Speaker's gallery and in the public gallery a good tour, academic tour within the House of Parliament. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to contribute. Yes. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have looked at the reports presented to this House by the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And Honorable Speaker, let me start by thanking the new chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Samuel Atandi, for the good work they have done this time around. Let me thank him with his membership for the good work we have done with the budget going by the report. And then there are two, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, number one is that the budget estimates for this year have restored the power and authority of the departmental committees in their participation in the budget-making process. All chairs and most of the chairs of the various departmental committees have spoken here. And they have confirmed that unlike before, the recommendations which come from the departmental committees, which are in charge of the various ministries, various departments, various sectors of government, have been carried on forth. This is unique, Honorable Speaker. Because in the past, we were complaining that the departmental committees assist the Budget and Appropriations Committee in this process, but whatever they recommend, in some cases, were not being carried forth. And I want to commend the committee chaired by my brother, Samuel Atandi, for that good work. Number two, Honorable Speaker, there have been complaints that the budget estimates and the allocation and appropriation of the national resources have not been equal, have not been fair, have not been just to all regions of the country, to all peoples of the country, to all sectors of our governance. Honorable Speaker, let me say today that I was very glad, Honorable Atandi, when I saw a road specifically mentioning Mandera County. So pleasant. We've been budgeting year in, year out. You hear some parts of the country don't still have an inch of a road. When I saw Mandera, I saw a road going to Wajir. I see roads going to Garissa. I see roads going to Tana, including that school the cabinet secretary in charge of National Treasury was talking about. A school where our children, the children of this nation since independence, have been faced with the tragedy of having to cross the river to go to school. And you know, River Tana is infested with crocodiles. When I see a proposal in the budget estimates, Honorable Speaker, saying that we must build a bridge to enable those students build their futures through education, Honorable Speaker, without having to risk their lives in those infested waters of Tana River, the waters infested by crocodile, I say we are beginning to think about, this country. Honorable Speaker, I therefore want to thank the broad-based government. Honorable Speaker, for how long are we speaking?
It's 10 minutes.
No, but Honorable Speaker, the other part I was given a chance to welcome the students. I've just started contributing to the budget.
Okay, you have an additional 2 minutes. Continue.
Yeah, I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we therefore take very many things for granted. But this thing would have not been possible without the broad-based government. A government seeking equity, a government seeking inclusivity, a government seeking the integration of all Kenyans in their governance unlike before. I want to thank President Ruto. I want to thank, even the 2 minutes have ended.
No, it's okay. No, continue.
I want to thank my party leader, the man who mentored me, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, for bringing the country together. Because with this togetherness, objectively, we can look now at the entire country as belonging to all of us and look at how we provide for them. Because, Honorable Speaker, we may say there are areas which we should budget for. The high production areas which were categorized in those years. But the fact of the matter is that each county, each region, each section of our population have something to contribute to the national table and all pay taxes. We want a country that moves in unison, in development, in togetherness. But Honorable Speaker, let me emphasize one thing only. I'm very happy that as much as we have this budget, we have funded the judiciary well. We have funded institutions which fight corruption well. Because if we can be losing sometimes up to $1 trillion through corruption, then we need to empower these agencies so that they can fight corruption and so that we can, control pilferages. So money is to EACC, money is to the Office of the Auditor General, money is to the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Honorable Speaker, I would request the members to approve them. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, I want to, support the committee for proposing an increment to the money is going to Kenya Revenue Authority. Honorable Speaker, we may have whatever budget we have, but if we do not capacitate the agency which is in charge of revenue-raising measures, the Kenya Revenue Authority, we will not be doing much. So I wanted to request the Budget and Appropriations Committee that I know you have increased the money, but we want a situation where the money going to Kenya Revenue Authority is between 1.5 to 2% of the collection so that they can build their capacities, they can integrate technology in revenue-raising measures, and we can collect more, and so that the whole country can in equity be developed. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Millie Odhiambo, did you want to pronounce yourself on this? Or you're doing something else?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank Honorable Atandi on his maiden presentation of the budget as the chair of the Budget Committee. Until recently, I was a member of the Budget Committee, where we've worked very closely.
Just one moment. You'll take up your chair again, just a moment. Honorable members, I want to welcome Tangul Bay High School from Tiati Baringo, who are in the speakers gallery, and also Lily Academy from Ruiru, Kiambu.
is the Honorable Kamket. Eh? Yes. Where is, before we go to Kiambu, where is Kamket? Mheshimiwa, you can appreciate and encourage the young learners from Tiati on behalf of Kamket. I'm talking to you, lady. Yeah, proceed. Give her the mic, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to welcome the students from Tiati constituency in Baringo County. And I come from Elgeyo Marakwet County. They are our neighbors. And you can hardly tell who comes from Elgeyo Marakwet and Tiati. My students, I want to encourage you that it doesn't matter where you come from. It might be miles away. But with education, you can be a member of parliament one day in this house. You can even be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Feel at home, and you're welcome to parliament once again. Thank you.
The Honorable Kingara, to welcome the students from Ruiru in Kiambu. Can you give the mic to Honorable Kingara, please? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to welcome students from Ruiru, especially the Raraja Kiambu. And I'm grateful that they have found it worth to come and see what we are doing here. My word is this, just be very consistent on whatever you are doing. Be humble so that you are accommodated by this world. It is out of discipline, humbleness that you'll be able to come to this house, make law, improve laws, and grow the country as you wish. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Miri Odhiambo, you have your 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome the students. And Mr. Speaker, to just indicate that one of the teachers who has come with the students from Tiati is from Rangwe constituency in Homa Bay County. Mr. Speaker, it's Homa Bay County yet again. And also to just indicate that I know even though I wasn't in Ruiru, but I went to Limuru Girls, which is in Kiambu County. So there's a connection with those two schools. And just to encourage the students that when you see us here, many of us come from very far, but it's your hard work that pays. And Mr. Speaker, I just wish to, I was indicating earlier that I want to thank Honorable Atandi and my former committee, the Budget Committee, for presenting this budget. Mr. Speaker, I know people have spoken a lot to the issue of allocation of the budget and the issue of equity and fairness in the budgeting process. And Mr. Speaker, if you actually look at the Constitution and looked at the concept of equity, then even monies that may be allocated to some areas like Homa Bay County may still be low, because Homa Bay has had years of marginalization when they didn't have adequate funding. And Mr. Speaker, I would want to encourage that as going forward, I've said it before and I'm saying it yet again. Earlier on today when I was talking to some of the media people, somebody challenged me and said, is it that now we are getting some budgeting because of we are in the broad base? If we do, it's maybe coincidental, but it should really be constitutional that when you are an area that has been marginalized for years, that you should actually get better funding. Mr. Speaker, I want to just indicate that I'm very happy that the committee has actually considered the health workers that have been outside the parliament until I was actually getting very, very concerned, that they are here every day picketing, and we are the house that can give solutions. So I'm happy that there's an allocation that will deal with their issues. Mr. Speaker, in relation to education, I'm also happy that the issue of the examination fee that has drawn a lot of concern and attention has also been addressed. Mr. Speaker, I think a lot of constituencies, including mine, have had a lot of concerns in relation to energy and especially power connectivity. And we have had, a lot of us have had the issue of transformers that are not working. And Mr. Speaker, this is something that we met the Minister or the CS for Energy, and they are addressing, and with the allocation that is actually granted now, We can see areas like in my constituency that have been raising concern, Lambwe areas, Usao, Ngode areas, and other areas of a constituency, Kasgunga, now will be able, the issues should be able to be addressed. I'm very happy on the program on aquaculture business development that will touch my constituency, especially on the issue of fisheries, that will create jobs and also enhance food security. Mr. Speaker, again, one of the issues that originally was very contentious and still contentious in some corners is the issue of affordable housing. And there is an allocation, but I'm sure at some point the things would get better, because when people start paying for the housing, then the cost will go lower. But Mr. Speaker, I just want to encourage that when we go to areas like my constituency, instead of looking at the affordable housing in the same design as other areas, other than maybe the big centers like Middletown, then we should focus on areas like TTIs and KMTC. And I want to thank the ministry for already considering a TTI in Mbita constituency. Mr. Speaker, I would actually want to say that despite the very good budget, my concern is that we still have very low funding for the Ministry of Gender, and we also have very low funding in relation to children affairs. And I want to encourage Honorable Atandi and the Budget Committee that maybe you reconsider this even when we're coming up with the supplementaries, especially in the light of the cases of gender-based violence that have skyrocketed in this country. Otherwise, with Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to support. Thank you.
The Honorable Hindikiri. You want to inform who?
Yeah, thank you,
she's not on the...
Mr. Speaker.
She's not on the floor.
First, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Chairman of Budget and his committee. Mr. Speaker, I know this committee has spent a lot of time engaging the public openly on the budgeting, on the budget and budgeting making process. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we have seen open discussions on how the revenue that is collected from Kenyans is being utilized. Mr. Speaker, we have seen in the past some counties or some constituencies getting more than the other counties or constituencies. Mr. Speaker, you find some votes of the national cake being given continuously to some counties and constituencies with no regard at all with the aspect of equality and even equity. This budget 2025-26 has really addressed what has been missing. That we see some counties and some constituencies growing in terms of development than others. Mr. Speaker, this budget has taken into consideration the better program of the ruling government. Mr. Speaker, it is very important to align the budget with the better program, which is the bottom-up economic transformation of this country. Mr. Speaker, there are some constituencies, particularly my constituency, where we have issues of electricity, issues of water. I have noted that we have been handed 10 million shillings, 100 million shillings for water. Meru County has benefited from the allocation on the budget on electricity. Mr. Speaker, the government has really tried very much to bring equity on the division on money on road infrastructure. And I want to say that for the first time, we have seen a lot of consideration of the distribution of the road network on low volume sale. Mr. Speaker, we have seen this budget bringing out transparency and utilization of money, particularly, Mr. Speaker, on the housing levy. Mr. Speaker, this budget has not interfered with that money because collected and ring-fenced purely on the housing and related development that the fund is taking care of. Mr. Speaker, what Kenyans want to see are markets, and the whole market now being constructed throughout the Republic. Mr. Speaker, this levy has been seen constructing houses. They recently launched, handed over houses in Mukuru and the other part of this nation, showing Kenyans how their money is being utilized, showing a lot of transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, we have seen the government committed on improving the health of this health sector of the country. Mr. Speaker, we have been having issues to do with the share. The government has come in handy. And if you look at the budget, it has really put into consideration that aspect of a Kenyan requirement. Mr. Speaker, the same case applies to the education sector, agriculture, and the other sectors. What am I saying, Mr. Speaker? I think Kenya now, there are many questions that Kenyans have been asking. Where is our money being utilized? And I believe Kenyans have no problem with paying taxes. What Kenyans have a problem is how their money is being used. I believe this committee has addressed that question because Kenyans, they want to pay tax. Kenyans are ready to pay tax, but Kenyans want to see how their money is being used. My people of the great constituency of Bori, they want to see roads being put up. They want to see water being put up. They want to see electricity. They want to see their hospitals being uplifted. They want to see ICT hubs coming up. They want to see people being employed, our youth being employed. They want to see our women being empowered. So this budget, 2025-2026, to me, is trying to bring up another dimension of how our budget needs to be and what the budget needs to cater for. Mr. Speaker, we cannot sit back and listen to people who have no clue on how the government is functioning. The people out there saying that nothing is being done. I believe through this budget 2025-2026, they will see a Kenyan government and a Kenya Kwanza government, broad-based government at work. And I can say with no contradiction, no doubt, that by the close of the year 2025-2026, we will say, yes, the money that the Kenyans are paying are being put into proper practice. Mr. Speaker, I support and I urge the members that we support this budget. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Quenya. Quenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the budget estimates. And I want on the onset to recognize the effort put by the Budget and Appropriation Committee through the leadership of the Honorable Sami Atadi and the members therein. Mr. Speaker, of course, it has been a very tedious process going through the budget cycle from the point of inception to where we are today. And Mr. Speaker, I am in a very special way supportive of this process and the estimates therein. Mr. Speaker, I've been very keen and followed through to see since when we started the budget policy statement as to the ceilings that were set. As much as I had my misgivings because of my experience in this house, whereby we pass budgets, but when it comes to implementation, we are not either able to raise revenues that are envisaged, and therefore we only have a budget, but in terms of exchequer release it, then that's where we go wrong. Because we have very ambitious figures, but in terms of absorption, it becomes very difficult because there is no revenue that is enough to meet that side of expenditure. And I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, that there seems to be a level of improvement in terms of revenue collection, and maybe going into the future, we are going to live the Kenyan dream that we've always envisaged, a situation whereby we are going to have a balanced budget to the extent that we are not going to have that column that always keeps on coming up, the deficit side, that needs to be financed through debt. And Mr. Speaker, I am particularly happy with the financing of our security organs. That is the Kenya Police, KDF, and National Intelligence Service. Because from the records, or from what I see here, their ask was met and to some extent exceeded, and especially Ministry of Defense. Mr. Speaker, just to bring to the fore, at the knowledge and understanding of members, our forces that are in Somalia are no longer being supported by UNEP, United Nations. And therefore, the government of Kenya has to come in and be in support of our forces that are serving our interest in the other border of Somalia. And this budget has ably addressed that, Mr. Speaker. It is something that we should celebrate when we are able to take care of our obligations locally and internationally. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the same, I don't know why I'm turning red. I thought we'd taking 10 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to mention something to do with modernization of our equipment for security forces. You realize Kenya is perpetually under threat, either from our hostile neighbors or from vigilante groups and organized crimes that are a big threat to this country. But now, without modernizing our equipment and use of technology, then we find ourselves in a state that is too dangerous for the security of Kenyans. And for any responsible country, 5 minutes.
What?
10 minutes. Mr. Speaker, as I proceed, I think there was an interruption. That was, in terms of modernization, that's where I was, Mr. Speaker. You find that criminals may be having superior technology than what our security forces have. You realize that some of the equipment that are being used by our security forces are obsolete and therefore may not match up with the emerging trends of criminal activities that are happening within and outside our borders. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, provisioning for the same to make sure that we acquire or procure the latest equipment, then that is what every responsible country should do. On the issue of agriculture, Mr. Speaker, I remember the Honorable President, His Excellency President William Ruto, stating that we must vacate from a point where we subsidize consumption to a place where we're going to subsidize production. And through the affordable fertilizer that is subsidized, we have been able to be close to food secure. And I think that's a game changer, and I'm happy that the same has been financed again in this financial year. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of electricity, many of our households are without electricity. 60 years after independence, we are still grappling with basic issues like having electricity in every home. It has been the dream of this country, the dream of every Kenyan, to have a switch where they can switch on their lights without struggle, without begging for more years ahead. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the provisioning of 52 billion in this budget to ensure that we connect as many homes to the national grid and to make sure that that dream is brought to actualization is something that should impress every Kenyan. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as I may not be able to go through all the content that is in this document, I wish to unequivocally support and congratulate the Honorable Chairman of Budget, who has now delivered his maiden budget statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me the floor to contribute to the budget estimate allow me from onset to thank Honorable Atandi, who has made his maiden budget since he became the chair of budget. From Outlook, Mr. Speaker, the budget looks a bit healthy. However, I have some reservations considering the recurrent expenditure to development in terms of ratio. We are still far below the recommended ratio for recurrent expenditure to development, Mr. Speaker, which is supposed to be 40% recurrent, 60% development. The first world have 30% recurrent, 70% development. In our situation, Mr. Speaker, we are still grappling to attain this particular ratio, Mr. Speaker, and I think this is something we need to reconsider very seriously if we want to move Kenya to the next level in terms of development path. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the key sectors which drive the economy of any developing nation, Mr. Speaker, I'm making a reference to energy, infrastructure, and ICT, Mr. Speaker. From the look of the document that is in front of us, the total budget, or the percentage in terms of the overall budget is about 20% that has gone to energy, infrastructure, and ICT, Mr. Speaker. And I think this is still very low, while understanding that most of the areas, particularly the rural areas, have very low connectivity on electricity. I'll talk of my constituency. We are below 20% of our electricity needs when it comes to electricity. We have most of the areas not connected to electricity, Mr. Speaker. If you look at our roads, they are in a very bad state, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we say the 20% that is earmarked for energy, infrastructure, ICT, of the overall budget is quite low, and we need to review it upward to be able to meet the needs across the country, Mr. Speaker. The other key important sector is education, Mr. Speaker. I'm noticing the total percentage that has gone to education that is out of the overall budget is at 28%, Mr. Speaker. That is still low. While looking at the need when it comes to education, we are talking of exams, we are talking of higher education loans board, we are also talking of other needs when it comes to infrastructure for education. So it's important, Mr. Speaker, we'll relook into this and see if we can revise the budget or the money earmarked for education upward, Mr. Speaker. Health, Mr. Speaker, has actually gotten the lowest percentage, which is about 5% of the total budget. That's about 137 billion, Mr. Speaker. We have been noticing health professionals coming to Parliament requiring for their pay. A lot of needs in terms of patients who are out there who have no one to attend to them because the health practitioners are busy on the roads demanding for pay rise, etc. So it's important, Mr. Speaker, we listen to Kenyans and see if we can add some money to help the sector, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture, which used to be the backbone of the Kenyan economy, Mr. Speaker, it is worrying when I notice agriculture and the rural development has been given 3% of the total budget, that is amounting to about 78 billion, Mr. Speaker. That is still very low if we really think or if we really believe that agriculture still is a backbone of our economy, Mr. Speaker. So in a nutshell, Mr. Speaker, there is much for us to do as a House to be able to respond to the needs and realities of Kenyans so that we move this country to the next level when it comes to development, Mr. Speaker. When I look at areas or gray areas when it comes to funding, we have very specific areas that have been underfunded, Mr. Speaker. To make or to be specific, I'll talk about school feeding program, Mr. Speaker. The previous financial year, school feeding program got about 3 billion. By this particular budget estimate, there is nothing put under school feeding program, Mr. Speaker. If you look at my area and your area, that is your constituency and my constituency, these are ASAL areas which receive erratic rainfall, Mr. Speaker. And most of the students in those areas are able to remain in school because of school feeding program, Mr. Speaker. So if we do away with the school feeding program, what are we trying to say when it comes to retaining learners from poor families, Mr. Speaker. So it's important we reconsider this and, if possible, reinstate money for school feeding program, Mr. Speaker. Another very important element comes to higher education learning, that is HELB. Myself, I went to school through HELB, higher learning. I was able to attain my first degree through HELB loan. Mr. Speaker, I've seen a reduction of about 3 billion in HELB. That is from 37 billion to 34 billion. This particular 3 billion reduction, Mr. Speaker, has a very negative implication to learners who come from poor families. I'm talking of about 368,000 learners who will not be able to meaningfully continue with higher learning if this money is not reinstated, Mr. Speaker, because they are likely to drop out because of financial constraint, while because of the background or because of the areas where they come from, Mr. Speaker. So let's try to understand these particular issues which are pertinent to poor Kenyans and be able to reinstate them with the budget, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I've noted that the police medical insurance, still the money that was requested by the department, what we have earmarked or what we have budgeted in this budget is low, or is quite low compared to what was requested by the police. And it's important to understand these people do very essential or instrumental role in ensuring internal security is given to Kenyans. So let's ensure that we provide the money requested for police medical insurance to be able to support our security officers and to be able to motivate them, because if we don't incentivize them, then we are likely to have policemen and women who will be demotivated to discharge their duties, Mr. Speaker. So with those few remarks, I wanted to recommend that going forward, it's important we look at the key sector that drive the economy of this country and budget well to be able to ensure that these sectors do not underperform, because they are the backbone, are the fulcrum to the progress that we want to see Kenya, and that will make Kenya a great nation, as all of us would want to cherish or see a progressive nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I submit.
Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the debate on the 2025-2026 budget, financial year budget. Honorable Speaker, the process of budget started way back with the budget policy statement. But notably, Honorable Speaker, there was some deviation between what we saw in the budget policy statement and what we finally arrived at the end of the day as the budget. The reason being that, the deviation in some sectors, like the sector that I represent, was negative. This has affected the budgeting and the planning of the activities in the sector. Against some of those expectations, Honorable Speaker, we have a hand to cost reduction in some of the activities. Honorable Speaker, the efforts in this budget progressively has shown absorption or rather provision for the bottom-up economic transformation agenda priorities. In every sector, there has been that provision. And this is something that came up with the new government. It's something that has been adopted, and it's something that is bearing fruits. And I hope it is something that the Kenyans are seeing happening. So I would like to call upon Kenyans to appreciate the efforts that are being made, especially through the budgeting process and provisioning for some of those activities. Honorable Speaker, we might have at some point as a country to call for harmonization of the budgeting in terms of the sectors. There are sectors that can easily move this economy to better returns, better revenue, better job creation, better, foreign exchange earning, and so on and so forth, but they are not being given due recognition. Many of the speakers have alluded to sectors like ICT, they have alluded to sectors like agriculture and rural and urban development and others. We might need a national conversation on how do we prioritize. Because, Honorable Speaker, when you look closely at what is happening in several sectors, and this is something that we need to take caution as a country, some of the things are long-term construction efforts. And those long-term construction efforts do not necessarily yield results in due time. A 5-year term government needs to yield results very fast. The current government got into office on the promise of jobs. And we can easily create jobs if we focus on some of these sectors and give them more effort. For instance, if we look at the agricultural sector and what has been happening, Honorable Speaker, the policy shift by the president to decide not to subsidize consumption, but instead subsidize production. And the fact that God has been so graceful to us and has given us rain all through, this has made the country realize food security over time. And these are some of the efforts that we need to make. For instance, we have specific targets. We have a target to improve coffee production from the current around 50,000 metric tons to 200,000 metric tons by 2027. If you have to achieve that target, we must do a lot of campaigns for new land to be opened under coffee, and also for intensification in production and productivity. That cannot be done without proper budgeting and inclusion of some of those activities, or recognition of some of those activities in the budget process. Honorable Speaker, again, in terms of urbanization, as a country, we are investing in industrial parks and aggregation centers. This is a very good initiative to have these industrial parks, because most of our farmers and most of the Kenyans are smallholder. These are the producers of the raw materials of industry. These are the producers of the little that we sell outside this country. Being producers who are small in scale, they will need to aggregate. And for us to have aggregation centers that are supportive of the economy, we must be able to organize the producers in a manner that they are able to respond to the demands of the day. And in that respect, Honorable Speaker, it calls for investment in the organization process, setting up cooperatives across the country, enabling these people to work together, harvest together, store together, sell together. Those are some of the omissions that are in this budget that need to be looked into. Honorable Speaker, the other notable the other notable inclusion in this particular respect is the focus on institutional support. Most of our institutions have been supported in this budget. I have in mind our military has been very well supported. I have in mind that our police or the law enforcement agencies have been supported. The judiciary has been supported. This parliament indeed has also been supported. I would like to call upon this institution to do their work and to deliver their promises to the Kenyans. That will guarantee them further support. That will give Kenyans the due recognition of the role that they play. Honorable Speaker, the efforts towards sustaining the budget deficit, living within the means, were seen in this particular budgeting process. The idea was that the fiscal space was limited, and under limited fiscal space, we needed to operate within the confines of the fiscal space. So the budgeting has been done in a way not to open up for more demand for resources. And this is a deliberate effort by government and a deliberate effort by this House to ensure that we do not open up the lid. Honorable Speaker, it is important for us to note that as a country, there are certain projects that are very fast in impacting the livelihoods of Kenyans. And when we debate, for instance, transfer of NGCDF to the counties, Honorable Speaker, those who are in the county are our brothers and sisters. We have been to the same schools with them. We live in the same localities. We all support devolution. But if something is working, why try to change it? The only fund in this country which has a management fee of 5%, and Honorable Speaker, I would like to explain why 5% is so significant. 5%, Honorable Speaker, if you're doing research and the data variation is not yield 5%, you normally conclude that there is no significant difference in the responses. In that particular respect, it means, therefore, most of the money utilized under NGCDF goes to development. And that is why there is so much of impact. Honorable Speaker, we need to ask ourselves, why should somebody imagine that something that is working needs to be altered or needs to be changed? There is fear among Kenyans that this NGCDF is going to be moved. There is fear among the members that next year, 2026-27, we are not going to budget for NGCDF. I would like to appeal to our judicial system that we need to look at these issues more constructively, especially when it comes to the role played by the different individuals in terms of delivering development. Honorable Speaker, my final point is on the need to focus a lot more on the software as opposed to the hardware. Hardware, I have in mind the constructionism. Software, I have in mind things that make us turn around the results. I have in mind, like for instance, when it comes to biological forms, the genetic improvement. I have in mind, like when it comes to health, disease containment or control. I have in mind, when it comes to education, educating the Kenyans appropriately to gain knowledge. These are some of the areas we need to a lot more focus on. There is an inclination towards construction in this country. Apart from the new program on national housing, affordable housing, then different sectors need to a lot more reduce on investing in infrastructure and development. Infrastructure and development, I have in mind construction of offices, construction of other facilities, so that we can focus a lot more on the software and turn around this economy. If we have turned around this economy, we have to be a lot more focused on the productive sector. And the productive sectors, Honorable Speaker, do not demand a lot of resources in those respects. Honorable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I wish to support the adoption of this report. Thank you.
The Honorable Tom Kajuang.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the budget proposals. I want to congratulate the chair and the entire team of the Budget and Appropriation Committee for finalizing a beautiful report. I have compared this report, I've looked at it against the budget policy and the initial submissions by the Cabinet Secretary from Treasury, and I am satisfied that this team has done tremendous work to change what the Treasury brought to us and given us a product which looks like Kenya. And I want to thank you, my friend, Honorable Atandi from Alego Usonga, that it is a good thing to have experts such as you. We have donated you freely to be able to give your professional services to this very good exercise so that we have a country which is ours. Mr. Speaker, you know, in the budgets that have gone by, we have been crying about skewed budgets of some counties or some places or some regions taking more than the lion's share than the other parts of the world. But what we have seen, the proposals from Treasury have now been balanced so that you have budgets in Baringo, you also have comparative budgets in Homa Bay, but you also have comparative budgets in Nairobi. For the first time, Nairobi has been looked at and been compared as an entity and as a region. So generally, it makes my heart happy that I am a member of this assembly that is now considering appropriation of the budget. Mr. Speaker, I want to say something. Just last week, some people were laughing that there are some gentlemen in Homa Bay who are sleeping in the stadium and are happy that there is a stadium which has been built in Homa Bay. Yet others are talking about securitization of the economy. And so they thought that those people who were sleeping in the stadium do not know what they were doing. But how can they not sleep in the stadium? Because this is the only stadium which has ever been built through to its conclusion. How can they, when the only thing they have seen, a practical infusion in this economy is the only stadium? Where were you when you are securitizing your economy, the economy in Mount Kenya and in the economy elsewhere? So you need, some of you have this premise that economy belongs to some people as a matter of right. So Homa Bay people are just celebrating just the stadium because that is all they have seen all their lives. And what is wrong in seeing that? Because they are showing that they belong to this country. Watch it, Mr. Speaker. Watch this space. The blue economy that is going to blossom. This budget that has been properly packed. You will see that Homa Bay people will now not be dancing on the stadium. They will be dancing now on those things called securitization of the budget. They will one day. And people should not take things for granted that there are people who are members of this country than the others. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it's my pleasure in Nairobi, for example. I know that there is a lot of discussions, disband this disband Kera, disband Kura, disband all these things. But you need to understand that in Nairobi, we stand on a pedestal, although we are in a county government, but that county government has more to do with that. If they were to do all those things, they will not take care of capital development. And so all these things we are talking about, the Kora and the Kera, those are the things that are holding our capital development. You will have a road coming from Nairobi to Samau Summit, but you will not get a road which goes to Thika. Or you will not get a road which comes from Embakasi to Ruaraka. Where will you get those kind of roads when you are now talking about, because the county governments themselves, have not been able to do even the estate roads. And all of you people live in Nairobi. So when you are talking about these things that now Nairobi, why should you look for Kora? Why should you look for Kera? Who will do that road to your house in Karen? Who will do that road of yours to Westlands? So some of these things, when we talk about them, let not political expediency take over the logical consequence of some of these things that we know. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much. I'm going to... Mr. Speaker, my friend from Homa Bay is disturbing me to inform me. Yes,
do you wish to be informed by the Honorable Kaluma?
I think I want some wisdom from Homa Bay.
Yeah. Yes, what's the
Honorable Speaker, Homa Bay Town constituency hosted the whole country for Madaraka Day celebrations. And I want to thank everybody for coming to Homa Bay. I also want to thank the President for allowing us to host that national holiday celebration. Honorable Speaker, the only part that I found sour is when some people were laughing, and I'm happy Honorable Kajwang has brought it up, that the people of Homa Bay are lying on tarmac the whole night, the day preceding Madaraka. They are saying the people of Homa Bay Town are lying in the stadium. Instead of asking, why has it taken President Ruto in barely 3 months to give the people of Homa Bay who love sports the stadium, when they have always been the capacity of the country? Honorable Speaker, I've been in this parliament for 13 years. 13 years. No single inch of tarmac road until this time that we have the broad-based governments. I wanted to inform Honorable Kajwang, in agreement with him, that things we keep talking about, like securitization of some funds to enable areas which have never gotten get, we don't want people to talk about them carelessly.
Notwithstanding the fact that yesterday we had in the House the CVs of the most brilliant maritime. Is it maritime or
Thank
law of
you.
the sea?
Thank you for that recognition.
And 3 of them came from Homa Bay.
But Honorable Speaker, I've
And
seen
only one came from, where does Caroline Omondi come from?
Yes.
Homa Bay. Then it means all of you are from Homa Bay.
Honorable Speaker, you see somebody like Francis Aduol.
Where the tyranny of brains was.
Yes,
Yes.
like Professor Francis Aduol, who was approved here yesterday.
Yes.
You saw his vetting process. But do you know, beyond, Honorable Speaker, beyond broad-based government, such a Kenyan would have not come before this House for approval. And that is why we are saying, let us think equity. We are paying a lots and lots of national debts, which developed regions, not the whole country. It is wrong for a member of the House hearing that for the first time a road is being thought about cutting across, Mandera, Wajir, going to Garissa. Yes. To come saying, you cannot securitize. Yet we know some regimes, up to the time they were living, contracted over 1,500 roads in just one region. And yet they keep telling you, complete those before you go to any other. We want an equitable, inclusive country for all of us. And we want to, as I inform Honorable Kajwang,
do you wish to inform something to
request
information.
Request members of Budget and Appropriations Committee.
You cannot inform an informer. Order. Yes. He's an informer, so you can't inform him.
When we are talking of equity, Honorable Speaker, we are not saying it lightly. I saw the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury saying there are rivers being crossed by people and they have crocodiles. And this has been happening since independence. And that is why we want Honorable Atandi to have the free liberty of the House with these current members to support. We don't want a situation where people who are aware the spokesperson of the committee is the chair, also giving their interviews outside there against inclusivity in this country. Thank you for the opportunity to inform.
You have 2 minutes to conclude, Honorable Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the information. I have accepted that information. But Mr. Speaker, I should have been here yesterday. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
Yesterday
Homa Bay is composed of learned friends. The member for Suba North is a learned friend. The other from Suba South is a learned friend. The other from Homa Bay is a learned friend. The one who has been exported to Ruaraka is a learned friend. So this is a county that we are talking about international law and international maritime law. And yesterday I would have been here so that you would have heard something from international constitutional lawyer like I am. But Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my very good friend, Honorable Atandi, that this is the way to go. Free this nation. Look at everybody look at Mandera as you are looking at Lamu. Look at Alego Usonga as you are looking at Ruaraka. And Kiambu. Let also Kiambu thrive because by the time people in Alego Usonga are burdened by taxation, they are paying the debts which have arisen from securitization from Kiambu. So you see, this is how we should look at this country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Rosabuya, and then followed by the Honorable Nyakundi Japheth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Honorable Nyakundi, is it true that you spoke to this particular budget yesterday? Oh, no. But were you not told you've got an additional 6 minutes and you must be here very early so that the debate starts with you? Honorable Rosabuya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Buyu.
In discussing the budget, I'd like to take us back to 1965 when we had the sessional paper after independence. Mr. Speaker, in that sessional paper, it was agreed that rather than try to develop all parts of the country in unison, we would develop the areas that had greater potential, and later on, the other parts of the country would be developed with the benefits that's accrued from those greater potential areas. Mr. Speaker, that has been the undoing of this country, because the greater areas that were considered as being potentially great, like Central Kenya, Mr. Speaker, was developed with the sweat and the burden of the rest of the country. Mr. Speaker, there's been no time in the history of this country since 1965 when Kenyans have come back together to say that now it is time to look at the other areas that had not been given the privilege in 1965. And that is why we have discrepancy in terms of development in this country. Mr. Speaker, the biggest point about the budget that we are discussing now is the point of inclusivity. It has tried to treat Kenyans as Kenyans, regardless of what part of the country one comes from. Mr. Speaker, you look at various areas that have been ignored and you find that there is something for them in this budget. Mr. Speaker, I dare say that Kenyans are not against paying taxes, but Kenyans are against paying taxes when they do not see profits or benefits from those taxes. But today, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see that for the first time, we have 110 million being set aside to purchase a ferry for Lake Victoria. Mr. Speaker, what this will do is it will enhance water transport, and it will ignite business and economy for the people around the lake. Mr. Speaker, I look at the money that's being put behind sugar industry. More often than not, there's a lot of money being pumped in coffee and tea, regardless of disregarding the other crops that are benefits to the other countries. But Mr. Speaker, right now there is money coming to sugar. Mr. Speaker, if you look at that budget, you find that a lot of money has also been put for mitigation of drought in the northeastern part of this country. I think that is really positive, because it's not by anybody's choice that there should be an area that is affected by drought. So, Mr. Speaker, what I see in this budget, and I want to give congratulations to Honorable Atandi for being a Kenyan and not just being a man from Nyanza. He has opened his eyes and he has opened his mind, and is looking at Kenya as Kenyans. And I'd also like to thank Mheshimiwa, who is the CS of Treasury, Mheshimiwa John Mbadi, who, working together with Honorable Atandi, they've been able to open their minds and to bring Kenyans to a point where Kenya is now Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk about UHC. We know that there have been people in this country who've been offering on voluntary basis their services to ensure that health is enjoyed by everybody, even the smallest person in this country. They've been doing this free of charge, and they've never had any pay. But today, when you look at this budget, there is money that is put under UHC that recognizes that indeed the workers or the voluntary healthcare workers will now be compensated for the service that they offer. And I think that is great, because when you have a healthy country, then Mr. Speaker, you'd be able to develop much better. Mr. Speaker, I also look at agriculture. When you look at how much money has been put in agriculture, and we are talking about sectors that affect the common wananchi, you find that there is money that has been put in those sectors, and I'm sure that in a few years' time, Kenyans will be smiling, because all the sectors that affect them will have actually been looked into and been budgeted for. Mr. Speaker, with that, I want to say that I support this budget, and I'm also happy that places like Nyanza, which have long been forgotten when it comes to road transport, when you look at that budget, you can actually see that indeed there's some opening of roads in that budget. I, for one, I'm very happy to look at that budget and see that an area like Hololela, Yawa, Mr. Speaker, Hololela is in the thick of nowhere in that Kisumu West constituency. And I see that in this budget, there's 200 million that has been put for that road. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what else I would say, but if this is what the broad-based government is doing, I want to say that this broad-based government is what Kenyans need, and I want to urge every Kenyan who might still have a bit of suspicion against broad-based government, that this is a government of inclusivity, this is a government of equity, this is a government of affirmative action for areas that have long been left behind. With that, I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right from the onset, I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that I support this budget. However, Mr. Speaker, I must dissuade some of the members of this August House from deciding that because I come from Mount Kenya now, I am guilty of what my forefathers did. We had at independence, when the session paper number 10 was made, we had representation in the cabinet from across the country. If the people at that time in government, and it was a government that was formed across regions and across the ethnic divide after having fought for independence, the wisdom of our forefathers cannot be used to make us guilty today. Mr. Speaker, this budget has a lot of money going to the blue economy. I am not complaining. I am encouraging people in my region to also venture into aquaculture and benefit. That is the kind of mindset I would like to see that our current leaders articulate and adopt, so that today we are building a better foundation for our children and their children to be able to resolve the challenges they will face. Can we resolve the challenges we are facing today without wanting to demonize one section of the country or one area of the country? I voted in this parliament to remove a person from my region from office because I felt he was not right for this country. Do not, I urge us to really embrace the broad-based government. Look, adopt what Honorable Atadi has done as the chair of budget. Let us use that focus. Honorable Speaker, I am happy that coffee has gotten money for revival, 500 million. The revival of coffee in this country and the earnings from that crop, from that cash crop, will be more dependent on the new coffee growing areas which go into Nyanza, that go into the Rift Valley, that go into Western Kenya. But at the same time, some of that money must be plowed into the Mount Kenya region for regeneration of the old coffee bushes, which are 62 years old plus. Honorable Speaker, I am happy that we have money to revitalize new KPCU that will serve the whole country in terms of warehousing, irrespective of where the coffee is coming from. I am happy we have money for settling coffee debts. Mr. Speaker, our athletes have really made our country proud. Of late, we have suffered the shame of some of our athletes being caught in doping. The fact that this budget has provided money for testing and for educating our athletes is a big plus. Mr. Speaker, the TVET sector is the game changer in this country. At a time when formal employment is shrinking, at the time when digitization is changing work as we knew it, the acquisition of technical skills and is really one of the areas that is going to help our people go into self-employment. The fact that we have provided additional resources for hiring technical staff is a big plus. Mr. Speaker, I am an alumni of the Kenya Medical Training College. Higher education funding in this country has discriminated diploma students for a very long time in this country. Students pursuing medical courses have not been benefiting from help. Students pursuing diploma courses in education, yet the teacher training colleges fall under the Ministry of Education, have not been benefiting from help. It is important that, it is instructive that in this budget, part of the health budget has had to be appropriated to provide help for KMTC students. I'm urging this House to collectively look at the issue of funding tertiary education so that none of our young people are discriminated. Mr. Speaker, our referral services in our national referral hospitals.
Come and take over.
We have really been complaining about the level of services, but one of the biggest burdens in those institutions has been the shortfall in personnel emoluments. And I want to thank the Budget Committee for accepting the proposal by the Health Committee, where I'm a member, to fully provide for the personnel emoluments package for all our referral hospitals. Mr. Speaker, UHC is heavily dependent on the provision of diagnostic services at the lower level facilities, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Mr. Speaker, the expired MES program has stood in the way for the implementation of the National Equipment Replacement Service that is supposed to benefit UHC health facilities. And therefore, I am happy that money has been provided for the closure of the MES program and pave the way for NESP. Mr. Speaker, one of the saddest things is when we have to be told that our children cannot be immunized on account of our failure to limit funds for vaccines that are provided through Gavi and UNICEF. Once again, Chairman Atadi, I want to thank you for caring for the children of this country and ensuring that the liquid counterfeit funding for our vaccines and also for the HIV and TB commodities has been provided. Again, the shortfall of almost 34 billion from the withdrawal or the threatened withdrawal of USAID funding in the health sector. Again, the fact that this has been provided in this budget is a big plus. Mr. Speaker, I have seen quite a number of sports academies. I want to remind our house, this house, that the CBC pathways dictate that talented athletes across the country should have facilities for the development of their talent. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am urging us all to be much more aware while looking at the proposal on where the sports academies are going to be built to ensure that there is equity across the regions and across the counties because sporting talent abounds. Mr. Speaker, I am unhappy also in this budget about the reduction in the provision for payment for children, orphans, and vulnerable families for supporting them, the indigents, with the national health insurance. Mr. Speaker, these are the lowest of the lowest in our society. It is not possible for us to remove money that is supposed to pay for social health insurance fund for the street families in this country. Where is our conscience? It is not possible, Mr. Speaker, for us to remove funds that is supposed to pay for social health insurance funds for orphans in this country. Where do we want them to access health services from? Yet it is mandatory for every Kenyan to have a social health insurance card. Therefore, again, when we come to that area, I urge this House that we be more careful in terms of dealing with the most vulnerable in our society. Mr. Speaker, in ending, the education sector and junior secondary schools. These schools are supposed to have science laboratories. I'm urging the Education Committee and this House in the consideration of the education budget to kindly factor in money for the construction of JSS laboratories. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
The Honorable Victor Koech.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also contribute to this particular report before this House on the consideration of the 2025-2026 budget. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I would like equally to join my colleagues in congratulating Honorable Atandi for this maiden report. Having looked at this report from Schedule 1 to Schedule 4, Honorable Speaker, I am convinced that Honorable Atandi with his team have done us justice for the first time. Last year, Honorable Speaker, and the previous years running, Honorable Speaker, we have had several challenges, and especially for us representing the rural constituencies. Speaking on behalf of rural constituencies where I come from, that is Chepalungu constituency, Honorable Speaker, we have had roads running to almost 68 kilometers, which was started by the then Deputy President and now the President of the Republic of Kenya, but have run several years without proper financing. This is the first year that I'm seeing considerable budget being considered for Kyogong, Sigor, and Chebunyo Road. In the previous years, Honorable Speaker, I would like to report that the same road have been allocated like 40, 30 million. 40 million cannot even do 1 kilometer, Honorable Speaker. This year is a bit much better. Equally, Honorable Speaker, on roads, we've had several challenges. There is a bridge that was promised by the now Minister for Security while he was in transport sector, Captain Bulliet Bridge. But it ran for the entire 2 financial years without consideration. I am happy that this particular budget that is under consideration today is also considering the same bridge, which means the residents of Nyongores are going to benefit from this particular budget. And that is why I want to keep on congratulating Honorable Atandi for surely having a broad-based budget that is considering the constituencies that have always been under-considered. Honorable Speaker, as I close on this particular issue of roads, many a times when we visit the departments seeking for projects, they normally tell us, as who are new, we should wait for the projects that are ongoing to be completed before we start. But I'm happy because this particular budget is going to consider another new road in my constituency. Honorable Speaker, when I come to energy, where I serve as a committee member in this parliament, I am happy because the budget committee actually accepted our consideration, our request for a 5 billion that is going to serve all the constituencies within our country. I would only want to urge the departments, the implementing departments, that when this money comes, we should be able to allocate money based on the need of each and every constituency. Because, Honorable Speaker, we can't lie to each other. Like the urban constituencies, we can never compare with the rural constituencies. In no way, Mr. Speaker, that constituency like Chepalungu, constituency like Chepalungu and constituencies from Bomet County and Kericho County can compare with constituencies in Nairobi. Nairobi has almost 90% connectivity, whereas in rural constituencies, we are still below 20% in terms of connectivity. So it is upon the department and upon us members to decide and to implore upon the department that is implementing, that is REREC, to consider using a well-connected and analyzed data on who has low connectivity and that person who has low connectivity should be able to get an higher budget. Considering, again, Honorable Speaker, in terms of education sector, this is where I have an issue. Because, Honorable Speaker, Chepalungu constituency, which is in Bomet County, has 188 primary schools. It has 97 secondary schools, a total of almost 300. All of them are relying on a 175 million budget for CDF. If these particular constituencies are not considered under affirmative action through the Ministry of Education in construction of laboratories, rural constituencies are going to be left far much behind in terms of education, whereas in the pathways and all that, we are now gearing towards actualizing the CPC program. Honorable Speaker, when I come to issues touching on water, our constituencies, again, have not benefited for a very long time. This year, Honorable Speaker, for a project that have not been completed for several years, that is a project that is dubbed Bomet Mulot and going to Sigor, is going to benefit more this financial year. That is why I want to congratulate the Budget and Appropriation Committee led by Atandi, that this particular year, we are feeling that we are part of this country. We are part of the Kenya, and we are beginning to see equity. Honorable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I want to support this report and still encourage that those who are going to implement, that is all the departments that are going to implement this particular budget, when the money comes to your department, we ensure through oversight that this money does what actually was meant to have done. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and I wish to support. Thank you.
The whip of the Jubilee Party in the National Assembly, the Honorable Sabina Chege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I want to say that I am once very happy when I see members on the divide happy about the budget and the allocations that have been done and distribution that has been done, Mr. Speaker. I was just reflecting on the journey that we have come as a nation, Mr. Speaker. From 1963, when we got our independence, there are three things that the founding fathers wanted to fight in this nation. That was poverty, ignorance, and disease. And very interesting, Mr. Speaker, we are still speaking the same language, addressing the same things. When you talk about ignorance, it's about our education sector. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I'm very happy that we are trying to address the issue of university funding, and especially the funding model, where we have many students, Mr. Speaker, who are able to join university, but they can't proceed because of the high fee. And I'm just hoping, Mr. Speaker, as majority of us in this house went through the university through HELP, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to finally have a proper solution for HELP so that our students, once somebody is admitted in the university, automatically they qualify for HELP. And then parents don't have to worry whether their children will join or not join the university. And as they go in, then there is a way that we can be able to see how and the level where we can be able to assist the student without making it complicated, Mr. Speaker, because some of these things are so easy. I don't know why we complicate them for our students in such a way that we have very bright students who miss education because of lack of fees. Mr. Speaker, I'm also very happy that now the debate about funding the exams is done, because this is something that was being politicized by some people about exams and whether our students will be able to sit for exams or whether the parents are going to pay for them. And so from the Ministry of Education and especially from the Departmental Committee on Education, it was very important for them to address this issue of exams. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, that one day we don't have to make our exams so complex that the exams have to have special codes. They have to go to be printed out of this country, that our students have to be manned by a police officer when they are doing the exams. Surely these are young souls. I don't know why then we don't train our either teachers or the students because it's a matter of integrity, that you don't have to have the policemen. We don't have to really have even the police coming in very early in the morning guarding the exams papers. We can have a way that we can be able to have an exam that is free, and I'm happy with the new CBC that there is continuous assessment in such a way that, Mr. Speaker, we don't have to wait for the last 8 years, and a child has been in school from class 1 or even from 4, that's when we are grading, and that one exam determines the life of a student. So I'm very happy with the new system of CBC, and I am hoping that then we will minimize a lot of bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a lot of times when you go to the ground, we have our elderly people, and I hope the Social Protection Unit and Department have addressed this matter. We still have our elderly persons who require social support from the government, and I know we have made steps and very good steps on how to finance them through the funds, and they're able to access to the money, but still majority of them are not registered, Mr. Speaker. And I hope as that age comes in, where we know somebody has gotten to the age of, if it's 70, that automatically then you are able to go, just show your ID card and you can be able to access to this financing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as majority of the members have talked about equalization and what goes to which sector, I'm very sure agriculture can address the issue of poverty in this nation. We have very good land. We are the equator, Mr. Speaker. I had a privilege to accompany my speaker to Brazil, and I saw the government is using not a lot of resources, but educating their farmers, having extension officers, giving them the proper seedlings, teaching them on the best practice on farming, introducing irrigation. We were in a place where it's like northeastern, but there's one river, and they have just diverted that river to the shambas, and farmers are able to farm through the help of the government, and they are doing a lot of exports. And so, Mr. Speaker, I hope that one day we would sit down and drop the politics, sit down and analyze how our nation is divided. And we can tell this crop can do well in this region, this one can do very well in this region. Go get farmers, put them together, train them, give them the proper seedlings, and I'm very sure, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to develop. And by the fact that this budget is here today, having Honorable Atandi as a chair, and a lot of members think he has done a good job, I am convinced now beyond any doubt that I was right in the beginning to say I'm not going to the streets. I was right, and I've been vindicated when I said I will join the current government because we don't have any other government until the next 2 years to come. And it has been proven, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to make changes in this house. That this house has a lot of powers. You are the one who allocates the resources. So we cannot go and complain outside there. Even if we go picket, even if we go for demonstrations, at the end of the day, we have the power. And I'm very happy today that the Homa Bay people can smile, and they're happy that they have a stadium. I've heard Honorable Rosa saying about the roads in a specific village in her place, and that tells us, as honorable members, once you are elected, whether you are elected with that government of the day or you're in the minority or majority side, that you have your power, you can come and lobby your members, you can come here and convince members of this house to support the area that you come from. And so not necessarily that we have to go and fight out there. And if we hold this house with dignity, Mr. Speaker, I am very sure what happened last year will not happen this year. And if we communicate well to Kenyans on what we are doing in this house, we will regain our dignity and the respect that that name we bear as honorable members actually becomes honorable. And so today, I'll sleep a very happy person to know that this house, for once, people have come together, we are reasoning together, we are working together, and I can only say long live broad-based government. Mr. Speaker, some people take peace for granted. Some people are busy inciting Kenyans against the government that is working for them, against the members of this house, but I also want to remind them that you elected that member of parliament to come and represent you. Instead of that member of parliament to come and tell you who you will elect 2027, who you should follow, and creation of some small demigods in this country, the person whom you elected should come and tell you how they sat in this house and mobilize for resources to go to their region, Mr. Speaker. And so I hope we can be able to change. And with this budget, I'll only mention one thing. We need to eliminate wasteful expenditure. The little we have, let us share. But most importantly, let us not be extravagant. Let us prioritize what is important for this nation. Let us see other areas, especially when you talk about diseases, Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, a lot of money comes in, not just from the government, but also from donor funding. But is this money utilized well? We have now UHC, we have now the SHA, which is the Social Health Authority. Mr. Speaker, we know there was a lot of dealings happening with NHIF. People could just sit in a corner in a hospital and write down some ID numbers, go claim from NHIF that they have treated people. But now with SHA, an OTP has to be sent to your phone for your confirmation that you as a person, you are the one who is being treated. And so the many loopholes that were there, they're no longer there. And that's why you saw the cartels in the beginning fighting SHA. But today I can comfortably say, I know and I'm a witness, SHA is working. What do? Where we are failing, whether it's on the system, we can always improve. But let us support. And most importantly then, not to forget very important people. We have our doctors, we have our nurses, we have our police officers. These people, day in, day out, even when tomorrow there's a holiday, they don't enjoy any holiday. So let us also minimize the unrest that we have within the labor. And that means then if there are any agreements that were done before, let us sit down, look at our doctors, our nurses, our teachers, our police officers, and we make sure that they also enjoy the kind of work and the sacrifices they make for this nation. And Mr. Speaker, as I thank you, I want to say I support and well done to the Budget Committee, well done to this House, and I can see there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Jubilee Party Whip. The Honorable Mark Mwenje will now make his contributions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And right from the onset, I'd want to congratulate the Budget Committee, now led by the Honorable Atandi, for a job well done, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you're well aware, and I know we should never draw the Speaker into debates, but those of us who've been in Azimio for about 2 years, we've been in Maandamano in 2023, last year. And Honorable Speaker, some of us as members of Parliament and by extension our constituencies have been punished. And I am one of those who can say, because in the budget for 23-24, the budget for 24-25, my constituency in Embakasi West, whenever I tried to get something in there for my constituents, it always got lost somewhere in between. And I have to believe, Honorable Speaker, that my close association with the former Prime Minister Raila, being part of the Maandamanos, had an effect on those issues, Honorable Speaker. And now, Honorable Speaker, I can say, and with this budget, and I can say that my constituency in Embakasi West, finally, I feel like I'm a part and parcel of this process, that we are getting something. That when you say there is a broad base, now I can see it somewhere. Because, Honorable Speaker, some of the roads, and I want to speak about my constituents because we are a budget-making process, but I'm here sent by the people of Embakasi West. There is a road I've tried to consider in my constituency, Firoz, Tononoka, an area around there. And 2 years in a row I've tried it. I can't just get it, or it gets in, deleted at some point. But this time, at least, I've made it this far, Honorable Speaker, and I believe the Honorable Atandi will be fair to ensure that we get to the end, Honorable Speaker. There are boreholes that in Nairobi, people don't realize we have a problem of water in Nairobi, but we have some boreholes that have been sunk in my constituency, and a few more are coming, Honorable Speaker. And these are things that we can appreciate that are coming in this budget, Honorable Speaker. And by extension, speaking about even the supplementary that we did just the other day, Honorable Speaker, I can consider certain areas of my constituency, Honorable Speaker. In Molemod, there's an area known as Kwamaji, Umoja 3, Superlove. In Umoja 1, there's an area known as an SDA road, Lim area, Tena Road. Karobang South, I'm able to add some more classrooms, do a road close by the Catholic Road. And these are the benefits, Honorable Speaker. I'm able to speak here with confidence that we have over 70 new additional classrooms coming into Embakasi West, Honorable Speaker. And this is by extension what we mean by having an equitable and fair budget that goes all round, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the last 2 years, I know there's a common misconception that Nairobi is fully connected with electricity, Honorable Speaker. And in the last 2 budgets, the whole of Nairobi County got a maximum of about 150 million. Now we're able to get a bit more. We have some slums in TJ's constituency, in Ruaraka. We have some in Mathare. We have in Embakasi West. Embakasi South, and we provided that there be social protection so we can connect electricity to those people living in those slums at a minimal cost and do some form of social protection as we are still working towards the affordable houses, Honorable Speaker. So at least through, and I want to thank the CS one day because he was able to call Nairobi MPs and look at that problem intensely and budget for it. And that is something that has been provided for, Honorable Speaker. When it comes to education, Honorable Speaker, we must remember grade 10 is on its way. So next year, members should be aware that with grade 10, the issues of bursaries, the issue of capitation, that is an issue that is going to be quite dominant at the beginning of next year. And that is something that we've seen that there's money that has been put in. That is why even the money for the exams was quite a sensitive issue. And even funding for help. Honorable Speaker, you've seen so many students, university students being sent home. We all know the pressure that has been on NGCDF to provide bursaries to these students. And yet we know NGCDF cannot fully fund university students. But it's important that help gets funded so that we can educate our students. So, Honorable Speaker, there's a lot, and I don't want to repeat what most members have gone through, but it is one thing to have a budget estimates brought to the floor and members leave here disgruntled. And it's a different thing when you're able to show some equity across every region, regardless of how they voted, Honorable Speaker. That is something that is quite key. And it's important, Honorable Speaker, that I point out. I know at times people look at the side of Nyanza or the other areas. Even here in Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, this has been an opposition stronghold. So we've been suffering here in Nairobi. And we are glad to see that we're able to get something here in Nairobi because it should be important for everyone to know that in Nairobi there are still problems. In Nairobi is the one place where if you don't get something to eat, you sleep hungry. You know, Honorable Speaker, in certain areas you can walk into a farm, get some maize, you can walk by a lake, try and fish something. In Nairobi, you're left with nothing. You can only steal, and it's not something we want to encourage, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, I want to throw some caution. While this House has been graceful with what we've done, this ruling that came out today, Honorable Speaker, and I want to congratulate the members who've helped us here, Honorable Speaker, including yourself. The ruling that came out today, I'm a bit cautious. I didn't hear it. I've not had the advantage to read it. But I've seen some experts, some excerpts out there, which I need to understand. I don't know if we were able to get some stay orders. Because it seems as though Kera has been lost, or we've lost some amount of money, Honorable Speaker. Perhaps...
Order, Honorable Mark Mwenje. Your Speaker knows better, and the substantive Speaker will at his own chosen time brief you. But I can assure you, the court has made a very good decision, a decision that secures that all those roads agencies are there, a decision that essentially unfreezes the monies, the over 10 billion which was frozen before, and makes it available for those roads functions under Kera, which has been saved. And additionally, even with the declaration of unconstitutionality, the High Court has been gracious enough to suspend that declaration. So we are back to status quo before even the judgment and even the previous ruling. So don't go into that area.
Okay.
Our substantive Speaker, the Right Honorable Dr. Francis Masika Moses Wetangula, will brief you at his own time. But don't worry, don't debate it.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I've also seen some people wiping their tears by distorting that ruling through the media. But just ignore it. We are leaders. We know what the court said and what we should do.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I stand guided, Honorable Speaker. And as I said, I made a disclaimer because I wasn't present at the ruling. And I'll trust your better judgment, Honorable Speaker, and I'll drop that matter at that point. Honorable Speaker, the only other issue. You know, the great county of Homa Bay hosted Madaraka Day, Honorable Speaker. And we've been having the debates of the people who were approved by the House yesterday. And I think the Honorable TJ went into great length explaining how we have several members of parliament from Homa Bay, including the cabinet secretary, of Finance who used to sit with us here, Honorable Speaker, and he was one of my tutors who was teaching me especially about the finance bill last year, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, I want to just send him some advisory note, Honorable Speaker. He will be here delivering the budget estimates for the financial year 25-26, Honorable Speaker. He was here and he promised us about the 52 billion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Mbadi, by the time he comes here, we don't want to make it uncomfortable for him. Let him come with the 52 billion for CDF as he delivers his budget, his 4.3 trillion. If we are going to trust him with 4.3 trillion, and we do, Honorable Speaker, I state on the record, we trust him with 4.3 trillion. Surely, 52 billion, and it's less, Honorable Speaker, it must be less than 30. What is remaining, Honorable Speaker? I'm sure he can deliver that as he brings that budget so that he can take this country moving forward. With that, Honorable Speaker, I congratulate the chair for the Budget Committee and tell them to keep up this work. Make sure it is always fair going forward. Thank you.
The Honorable Daniel Manduku, who is the MP for Nyaribari, Masaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Samuel Atandi-led Committee on Budget and Appropriation has done a commendable job. I'm not an expert in finance, but Mr. Speaker, I've gone through the proposed expenditure and estimates, and I can comfortably say that this committee has for once balanced the revenue side and the expenditure side while minimizing the deficit. And so, Mr. Speaker, I think from the onset I want to commend the work done by the committee in trying to ensure that we get some discipline in matters financial. Without repeating what most of my colleagues have said, let me highlight a few issues or areas that I think are very key and pertinent to ensuring that we have a disciplined financial sector. Number one, I want to commend the committee for ensuring that the Kenya Revenue Authority, who are mandated by law to collect taxes on behalf of this country, in ensuring that they have been given resources to expand the tax base. And more than that, implement a new system so that we minimize human interaction and therefore eradicate possible areas of conflict or corruption. Mr. Speaker, if we ensured that 70 to 80% of our tax-raising measures are tech-driven and that there's no human interface, I will assure you that under the guidance of a very able Commissioner General, Mr. Watanga, this Revenue Authority will be able to surpass its current targets. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, there are good signs, given that already in areas tax collection and with specific reference to value-added tax, we can now see the committee doing very well and in fact exceeding expectation. Something else that I want to commend this committee, and in hindsight, remember what we went through last year, there are no adverse tax-raising measures in this budget. That we've been able to make a budget with resources that we already have or with resources that we can easily attain without further burdening the taxpayer. Mr. Speaker, something else that I want to highlight is that on the issue of public debt, this House resolved that going forward, we would have a mix of 70% to 30% being the ratio between the ratio between foreign and domestic debt, and that in the medium term, we hope that we shall achieve this. Going through the proposed borrowing this year, I can comfortably say that we are getting there by following the recommendations of this House. Mr. Speaker, on local matters, and knowing that I come from Kisii County, let me highlight that I'm extremely happy to know that this committee has allocated a total of Kenya shillings 1 billion in this financial year for the construction and completion of the Kisii Cancer Center. Mr. Speaker, where we come from, we have serious cases or challenges in the areas of cancer. And with the plans to elevate the Kisii University to a full medical college, we are sure that this center will be a reference in the region and that it will surpass Homa Bay and other neighboring counties in giving or providing quality health care for our people. Mr. Speaker, I am a person who strongly believes in affordable housing. And I want to say that if there were any people who doubted that this country can actually change, they should come and see the new houses at Mukuru Kwanjenga slums. Mr. Speaker, I can assure you that in the next 5 years, we will have magnificent structures housing our people with quality sanitation. And it is in this light, Mr. Speaker, that I want to say and thank this committee for giving adequate resources in ensuring that not only shall we complete the ongoing affordable housing projects, but also that we shall have decent markets spread across every constituency. And I dare say that these markets will be game changers because they come with proper sanitation, proper working spaces, places for mothers and children to rest, accessibility, safety, and security. Mr. Speaker, this committee has also recommended that money is set aside for the payment of the universal health staff who have been out here on many days. I want to thank the committee also for setting aside funds for the recruitment of the junior secondary school interns. Mr. Speaker, these are areas that, if well funded and well supervised, would make a big and significant change in the development of our country. Mr. Speaker, there's something else that many members have not talked about, and this is in line with the innovative way of securitizing the road maintenance levy, so that we can have most of our projects or road projects that have stalled for long being able to be complete. On other areas, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is commendable that we are putting adequate funds in the TVET sector and even more money in ensuring that we grow our talent through the area of sports. Overall, Mr. Speaker, having sat in this House now for more than 2 years, I want to state that this budget has a very high level of equity, that you can finger out monies being sent to virtually every county and every region. How I hope that this will be the spirit going forward, and that by the end of our term, we shall tell our people that this is what we did. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this proposal and hope that we shall implement it as we go forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Deputy Leader of the Majority Party, the Honorable Owen Baya.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I want to contribute to this debate by saying this at the beginning, Honorable Speaker, that a budget is usually either a tool of equalizing a country or marginalizing a country. That's a key principle when it comes to national budgets. You can use a budget like we have today to marginalize certain areas and boost others. But you can also come to a level where you want to equalize a country. And this budget, Honorable Speaker, the one that we are debating now, is such a tool that will be used to equalize the country. I have seen in this budget where resources have been put in, virtually almost every part of the country is benefiting from this budget. Probably, Honorable Speaker, is the only budget since independence that we have such a budget, thanks probably to the broad-based government that we have. Honorable Speaker, this is an important principle, and I want to ask other chairs of budget committees and people who have been given the task to budget, to ensure that we follow this spirit, the spirit of ensuring that every budget that comes in tries to equalize the nation, the country, so that resources go to every part of the country. Never again should we have a situation, Honorable Speaker, where we have marginalized areas and areas that have made huge progress, areas that have been left 10 years behind others, Honorable Speaker, or other areas which are 10 years ahead of others. Honorable Speaker, this is one of the things that I want to commend the committee on. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, on a general principle of budget, I want to say that a budget also can be used as an economic stimulus package. How you distribute the money. Because many times you hear people, yes, the economy is growing. And we can see the figures, the numbers. But then people still tell you, we are not feeling it in our pockets. Because probably the money has been put in areas that does not spur economic growth. Areas that are more consumer, I don't want to use the consumer, but areas that are more building more infrastructure, for example. And yet, Honorable Speaker, the money is not coming into expenditure issues, and therefore you have a problem. For example, Honorable Speaker, why I say this is an economic stimulus budget, we have increased resources in agriculture. When you have resources in agriculture, you are talking about productivity. When you're talking about productivity, you are talking about stimulating the economy. We have resources that are coming to building, are going into building markets, Honorable Speaker. When you have resources that go into building markets, you're actually encouraging and anchoring the economy in a market-driven economy, Honorable Speaker. So this budget has two principles that have been achieved. One, the principle of using a budget to equalize a country, and secondly, to use a budget as an economic stimulus package to allow the economy to flourish and put money in the pockets of people. And I want to assure Kenyans that having looked at this budget, having gone through it, I think money will start flowing into the pockets of people if it is properly implemented. Honorable Speaker, the other question that comes into my mind is implementation of a budget. You can have very good figures. You can have very good budget. But when it comes to resources, when they are distributed and released, you realize that the money may not be released into the areas that have been marginalized for many years, but the money may be released to those other areas. Because this is a whole year program. So the first quarter, where is the money going? Second quarter, where is the money going? Third quarter, where is the money going? Fourth quarter, where is the money going? That is very important, Honorable Speaker. And because we are a country that always has a deficit on budget, therefore, we come to this principle where you look at priorities because resources are scarce and we have a deficit. So the question is, who then bears the deficit? So you realize that I hear people celebrating, a road has been put in my place, this has been put in my place, this has been put in my place. But that is not enough. Will the money actually, the actual expenditure, the money actually be available for that road to be done? Because there are roads that were budgeted for last year, but have not been done. There are programs and projects that were budgeted for the previous budget, but they were not done because of priority, and because of deficit, and because of revenue coming in is less. So you realize sometimes, Honorable Speaker, and this is a principle that we must guard against, that when the money is little, only certain areas benefit. Although the project is in the budget, certain areas benefit. But I also want to note, Honorable Speaker, certain areas where money has been put. For example, a lot of money has gone into the blue economy. We know if the issues of blue economy are properly implemented, and we have a good legal regime, we have good laws in the blue economy area, Honorable Speaker, we are likely to benefit as a country and we're likely to spark growth. Because when the fishermen, you know, with blue economy, there's something interesting about it. You don't spend your money to grow the fish. The fish grows. It's not like a cow. You know, a cow, you have to feed the cow. You have to buy feeds. You have to have somebody to shepherd them. You have to have structures. But the fish is in the sea, is in the lake. You spend nothing to grow the fish. The only thing that you need is equipment and tools to go and get it. Now, if you do that, economic growth is faster in that sector than in any other sector because you don't spend to grow the fish. And this is an important thing that we need to learn as a country. We are lagging behind in stimulating the economy, the blue economy. And this is an economy that can help this country grow faster and move forward very, very fast. And actually benefit the whole country because the products and byproducts that come from the blue economy are huge. But many a times, Honorable Speaker, we don't see that. If I was given an opportunity to sit at budget and say, okay, if I were to allocate 100 billion, where would I put it? Would I put it in cows or would I put it in fish? Honorable Speaker, if I put it in cows, it means I'll spend a lot of recurrent resources to grow the cow until maturity, until I start, slaughtering or milking, and then I have to feed the cow, I have to do all that. But if I put it in the blue economy, I only need to buy equipment, go to the fish, pick the fish, come, prepare it, sell it, and make the money. And for the first time, Honorable Speaker, I have seen there's a drive to actually benefit from that economy, the blue economy sector, Honorable Speaker. And that, for me, is very important. Honorable Speaker, another important thing that I see this budget has done is to put money in the SHA. You know, Honorable Speaker, one of the highest consumer of resources for families, for earners, is health sector. And many people, many times, Honorable Speaker, families are left in tatters because they have spent all their money, they have sold the only cow they have sold the only goat they have to take somebody to hospital, Honorable Speaker. But if we have a universal health care program, we have a health care system that takes care of the less fortunate in the society, Honorable Speaker, then we get it right. Honorable Speaker, take note, Honorable Speaker, that in the United States, healthcare system makes the president or removes the president. You know, you hear the Obamacare things, and when Trump comes, it removes it, and when Biden came in, he had his own system. Healthcare is everything for a country, and especially the other nations. In the United States, healthcare alone, your policies and programs on healthcare alone will either make you president or bring you down as president. Now, we are reaching that level as a country, where we need a healthcare system. Healthcare now will become an important campaign tool. When we get it right, if we get it right, this SHA, we get it right, Honorable Speaker, no one will ever erase that history, that important history that we are writing now using SHA. And this 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker, will be counted as that Parliament that got it right for the people of Kenya, for the citizens of Kenya, that we brought down the cost of healthcare and allowed everybody to benefit from the national coffers to ensure that everybody is healthy and everybody is able to pay his bills, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, one of the other things that I would like to speak about, budget can also help you to gauge efficiency of government. Budget, efficiency of government. How efficient is the government? One of the key principles of bringing in an efficient government is to have a lean government. The leaner the government, the lesser wastage you have. We need to examine our government. Probably, Honorable Speaker, I know you were there in the making of the 2010 Constitution, but probably this was not looked at. Efficiency at the helm of, or at the pedestal of, a lean government. We have a huge government as a country, huge government. The county governments are making it even bigger. Functions are duplicated. And there is even more. Even this chamber and the other chamber, there is duplication. And we continue to spend money on duplicated roles. Honorable Speaker, we need to have a budget that actually spells out the word lean inside it, so that we move from the bloated government that we have to a lean government. We'll become more efficient, resources will be moved properly, we move a lot of
Add in 1 minute.
Honorable Speaker, we need to move a lot of the things that we are doing as government to the private sector. The private sector will ensure growth. But everybody, Honorable Speaker, today wants to join government because you can be government, in government you can afford to be lazy, you can skip work, you can do all those things and still get salary. The private sector works differently. Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask this Parliament to sit here and decide what government needs to look at and what are those things that need to go to private sector. When we move things to the private sector, Honorable Speaker, we will be more efficient, we will save money, and Honorable Speaker, will become a better government than we are. Honorable Speaker, I support this budget and thank the Attorney-led committee for a good job, and I wish the new CS, who was here teaching me about matters Parliament then 2-3 years ago, CS Mbadi, all the best as he steers the ship at the helm of the Treasury. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Jematia will be followed by Honorable Joseph Oyola in that order because of gender and ranking considerations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And from the onset, I want to say that I am a member of this committee, and I also want to thank my chair, Honorable Tandy. Of course, I'm talking about Honorable Mbadi because my fellow member spoke about him in Minister way. Mr. Speaker, this year's budget is defined by equity and the well distribution of the resources. In the budget today, I just want to highlight generally, because most members who have spoken before me have elaborated most of the items in the budget. But because I'm a member, Mr. Speaker, I was able to interact further and to able to also give generalities or general view on the bigger picture of the budget. This year's budget, Mr. Speaker, is 4.23 trillion. The whole budget that contains 405 billion for the counties. As you know, since the inception of the 2010 Constitution, we were able to have counties that is now reliably independent, they're able and semi-autonomous, they're able to develop and have their own source revenue. As much as that, through the national government, we were able to allocate their fair share of money to their counties. And we also expect the counties to take this prudently and make sure this money is working fairly for Kenyans. We also had 48 billion for recruitment of 20,000 interns. For the longest time, we want to absorb these members of the society who have worked and gone to school, and this budget has considered that these interns are also going to be very important to be given opportunity to serve the country as they learn and the ropes towards making sure that the services given to Kenyans is achieved. In UHC also, there was a lot of improvement through 6 billion for employment of medical service men and women who are going to give us better services in healthcare systems, and they are going to improve specific areas of SHA and SHIV, Taifa Care. This is where the government of the day, Kenya Kwanza government, has realized that health is a prominent and a must-do while as giving services to Kenyans. Ministry of Health is going to have this money to make difference, specifically in universal health services. We also had 52 billion for TVETs to improve quality and give quality to students who are and diploma students who have enrolled in these institutions to make better their lives in terms of handcraft skills, improve, and also make sure every part of this country has an opportunity to interact with a TVET, not only through students and young people, even old people nowadays can enroll in school and get skills, because these institutions has enabled Kenyans who are able to interact with these TVETs to understand that they can do this thing even when you are already employed or something. You can take your time over when you have a leave break to go and train yourself and have a better skills, because TVET is giving you an opportunity through all skills that is provided there. And the government has given 52 billion. Mr. Speaker, we also have last mile connectivity, which was considered in the budget with 63 billion, which is fairly distributed equally in the country. And also consider that most parts of the country with, some parts of the country with a better connectivity was allocated their fair share according to how far their connectivity has gone. For the least connected areas of the country, this is the most equitable and fair budget because it is going to be considered. If your area is probably less than 60%, we are going to, this budget is going to give you opportunity to improve better, while the ones with 90% and above probably is going to be able to manage and maintain. And we also realize, Mr. Speaker, that the biggest problem in Kenya today is not resource allocation. It is the maintenance of the infrastructure that government and every government that has come allocate resources. If you go to schools, for instance, the schools are members or leaders built probably 10 years ago. If you visit that school today, you realize it is more vandalized than when we were building it. It is because we want to urge Kenyans and tell them these are monies that come from your pockets. These are taxes that come from all of us as a country. But when you are having and using a facility, for instance, in school, 8 teachers and all teachers are supposed to make sure that utilities in schools are always preserved better, always maintained, and always given opportunity so that for posterity, we are not always going to allocate money all the time, but we are always able to manage and have better institutions. And also so that we don't always build every day. We are also able to build to last. And equal to roads, equals to connectivity of electricity, because when you have all this, you realize people vandalize all the time. And this is because people think it is free money. It is not free money. These are monies that come from people. We also did capitation. We have coffee cherry fund that was also enhanced. We also have 10,000 police recruitment that is coming. We have 2 billion Kenya shillings that is going to be used to recruit KDF servicemen and women. And this is going to be impactful in all parts of the country. So, Mr. Speaker, if you ask me, this is through my chair, Honorable Atandi, we are going to make a difference from this financial year, 2025-26. And more so, I want to ask Kenyans to look at the expenditure more on not only the finance bill, why we are putting these monies. Let us all interact positively as we look and make this country better than before. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Joseph Oyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also add my voice to this debate. Honorable Speaker, we are discussing the budget for 25-26 financial year. And I must congratulate the Budget Committee for the work well done. The Budget Committee under Honorable Sam Atandi, who is also under chairmanship of Honorable Sam Atandi, who is also my jirani, has come out very well. They have devoted most of their time on looking at the development. The development budget, I'm sure this time, has been well spread, and many areas have been covered. I'm specifically happy because one of the roads that has been worrying us in the constituency, which cuts across the 4 constituencies in Busia, has been introduced in the budget. And I think that is very useful for the people of Busia. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the security side, the committee has been able to provide funds for the recruitment of more police officers. Security is becoming a problem in this country, and the more police we have, the better. In fact, Honorable Speaker, very many areas are now having problems with security because of lack of personnel. So these additional personnel, 10,000 policemen, will help this country greatly. Honorable Speaker, they have also considered the operationalization of gazetted chiefs, officers, and chiefs and assistant chiefs. If you recall, Honorable Speaker, we had a long debate in this House with the Minister for Internal Security regarding the operationalization of these locations. I think this should now come to an end. Honorable Speaker, I've also noticed through the budget that we have gotten some adequate funding for TVETs. TVETs are going to be the backbone for development in this country, for employment of youths, and for proper training of our youths. The only thing I've not seen, Honorable Speaker, is the machinery for TVETs. I've not seen it anywhere, and I hope it will be considered later. Honorable Speaker, this budget has set up equality for the future. In the past, the budget never reached some corners of this country. But this one has touched almost every corner, and I hope it's going to help very many areas of this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Budget Committee most sincerely for the work done, and I hope that we will gain more from this budget. Particularly on education, Honorable Speaker, something has been done on education, although not much, but I'm a bit worried. They have reduced some money against the primary education. I hope something will be done because the primary schools are expanding, and any reduction will definitely affect the primary schools. Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by supporting this budget, and I hope it will be useful for this country. Thank you.
Honorable Makali Mulu, the mover should be replying. Are you so anxious to speak? Because we are at that hour when the mover should reply. Yeah, please say something before the mover steps into the House.
A correction, John Makali, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable John Makali.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also make my remarks in respect of these budget estimates for the year 2025-2026. At the outset, let me congratulate you, Honorable Speaker, for hosting a very, very successful 62nd Madaraka Day. We hosted the 61st Madaraka Day, and we thought we were the best, but I think you hosted it in a manner that left us also wondering that we will have done more. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, is to thank the Budget Committee for this particular report, for burning the midnight oil to produce this particular report, being the third report of this particular administration since it came into power, and the first one of the broad-based government. Let me start by highlighting up a few issues that are arising from this particular budget. 28% of this particular budget has been allocated to the education sector, which is really a very, very good thing because education is the ultimate levelizer, and we need to invest seriously in education so that we can be able to have human capital to be able to drive this country forward. Three things arise from that. One is we have allocated money towards teachers' promotions and recruitment of more teachers. This is a plus from this particular committee because, Mr. Speaker, you remember ever since we got independence, last year we employed around 50,000 teachers. If we can really be able to employ more teachers, I have people in my constituency, some of them who graduated way back in 2014, but they have never been employed. So it's a plus that we need to employ more teachers because we'll be fighting the unemployment scourge that is facing up our country. But principally, much as we have allocated money to the ministry, to the education sector, our universities are having a problem. Most of all the universities are having a problem. They are on their knees. Capitation is a problem. Higher Education Loans Board, we have issues with the formula for disbursing the Higher Education Loans Board. I'm hoping that during this new financial year, we should be able to have a seamless remission of capitation to our schools so that the head teachers can be able to run these schools fairly and properly. My second issue is in the agriculture sector. Agriculture contributes 20% of our gross domestic product. And I have seen the committee has allocated a sum of 78 billion shillings towards the agriculture sector. You realize, Honorable Speaker, that food security is very important. We want to thank the government for the overtures it has made